Jonathan here, and welcome back as we're about to enter into our next room, the furnace. So before we begin, any issues we had during the heart were pretty much dealt with during the following turns, and since we had a couple of turns with nothing happening, just walking from the heart through the T-junction passage to the furnace, then there aren't any issues to deal with, so we're good to go. Next up is the recap. For all of our heroes, a lot of grits were used and received, and the frigid snow effect delivered a wound here and there. Yvette, our gunslinger, she moved on to the heart's map tile, not aware of those cascading energy surges, but her mutation, fused with rock, helped save her against those cascading energy surges when her defense failed. Staying around a corner helped her be free of any target pylon attacks since she was out of line of sight from them. But that didn't stop her ricochet shots from finding their marks as she bounced them off the rocky walls. But of course, right after she stepped into the target pylon's line of sight, they hit her with a shot. Shauna, our saloon girl, she did a better job at holding back the darkness as she succeeded 4 out of the 6 times. Though the last fail did end up on a blood splatter, which brought in Strength of the Void, giving Void enemies a better defense. She was not around the others that much, so not a lot of comforting presence was delivered by her. The attacks on the target pylons were not that effective, as it seems that Charlie, her contact at the general store, needs to calibrate the contraption on Shauna's right arm as it is pulling to the right. Then after she looked through the portal, which produced an entrance into another mine location, Yvette yelled to Shauna to return, and we're going to go ahead and check out that other direction across the T-junction. So Shauna, with her fast ability, quickly moved out of that room, the heart, so no more cascading energy surges will hurt her. Sam, a U.S. Marshal, she was doing a good enough job just outside of the heart map tile, using her hunting rifle with a dark stone barrel, giving her a range of 16, though she only needed a range of 7 to hit the farthest target pylon. And being such a good distance away, that was no problem for the target pylons, with a range of 12, who kept targeting Sam each time. But with the use of a couple of her items, the cigar and the Rune of Shadows that is attached to her hunting rifle, both of them helped reduce the damage greatly. And finally, Angela, our bandita, she did help out a little bit by producing some damage to a target pylon and really helped out by healing a good chunk of Sam's wounds. Now, I guess Angela was a bit forgetful of the room, the heart, as Sam remembered about the effects from when they were here last week and held Angela back from entering the heart so that the cascading energy surges would not hurt her. So that's going to end the recap for our heroes and the enemies. And now the XP money update. Our gunslinger Yvette, she started out with 420 XP, dealt a lot of damage against those target pylons with the use of her ricochet shots and dead-eye shots, obtained some XP from the loot she found after the combat, and then some XP from scavenging, so she is now at 530 XP. She started out with $990, and after finding some cash, she is now at $1,040. Our saloon girl, Shauna, she started out with 365 XP, only used her comforting presence 2 times since she was far away from the group most of the time. Dealt a little bit of damage against those target pylons and obtained some XP from the loot she found after the combat. So she is now at 440 XP. She started out with $725, and after finding a very weird looking pistol, one that is heavier than what she normally wields, she is now at $1,400. Our U.S. Marshal, Sam, She started out with 585 XP, dealt a lot of damage against those target pylons, and obtained some XP from the loot she found after the combat. So she is now at 680 XP. She started out with $650, and after finding a weird looking creature frozen inside of a block of ice, hey, ice block! She is now at $950. And finally, our bandita, Angela, she started out with 435 XP, dealt a little bit of damage against those target pylons, healed up Sam with the use of some herbs, and obtained some XP from the loot she found after the combat. So she is now at 500 XP. She started out with $325, and after finding nothing of value, she is still at $325. So it looks like, other than our saloon girl, Shauna, the other three ladies are at least halfway to level 3. And finally, I have an update from the last recap I did in a recent video, the Cryo Chamber video, that started at 11:35 that I called, What is in the game that is not in the game? In that last recap, I talked about 2 items, the interior symbol on the Cryo Chamber's map tile card, and the poison markers from the You are immune to poison marker statement on Angela's Rattlesnake Fangs card. And no idea why they are in there, and why the company even put them in there if there is nothing they can be used for. So let's go ahead and talk about the first item, the interior symbol on the Cryo Chamber's map tile card. So what is the meaning of that interior symbol, since there is nothing in the first Shadows of Brimstone core box, City of the Ancients, like a rulebook, adventure book, cards, etc., that talks about that interior symbol? In some Shadows of Brimstone expansions, the adventure book has a paragraph talking about that interior symbol. In the Shadows of Brimstone Blasted Waste adventure book, on page 8, in the section Interior Map Tiles, it reads, There are several potentially deadly storm and weather effects that can be encountered in the Blasted Wastes, and some of these make reference to not affecting heroes that are on an interior map tile. A map tile that is considered to be interior is listed as such on its map card, showing this interior symbol. Now here is part of the last half of the first sentence that I just read and what you need to be aware of. And some of these make reference to not affecting heroes that are on an interior map tile. And what that means is that there are certain type of encounter cards that tell you that the hero will not be affected by the encounter card's effect if they are located on an interior map tile. So those interior map tiles by themselves mean nothing, as they need to be used with certain encounter cards. And here is what one of those encounter cards look like. We have the Ice Storm card, and it is a Targa Plateau Encounters card, and it's from the Ancient Terrors Game Supplement Pack. And it reads, At the start of each turn, every hero in the Targa Plateau takes 2 hits from the blizzard. And then in the parentheses it reads, Unless on an interior map tile. So what that means is, if you were on a map tile that is designated to be an interior map tile due to the interior symbol on its map tile card, then you would be immune from the effects of certain type of encounter cards that talk about or show an interior symbol on that encounters card, just like the Ice Storm Encounters card. But if you're on a map tile that is designated to be an interior map tile due to the interior symbol on its map tile card, then you would not be immune from the effects of any kind of card that does not talk about or show an interior symbol on that card. So just to reiterate, just because you're on a map tile that its map tile card has an interior symbol on it, it doesn't mean that you're going to be immune from any kind of effect. You'll need to look at the other card for information, or an interior symbol. So that is the meaning and some additional information on the interior symbol on the map tile cards. A little lengthy, but hope you understand it a bit better. And then the other item is the poison markers from the "You are immune to poison markers" statement on Angela's Rattlesnake Fangs card. And here's what the poison marker looks like. As I said in the previous video, there's nothing in the first Shadows of Brimstone core box, City of the Ancients, like a rulebook, adventure book, cards, etc., that talks about poison markers. Plus, there isn't even any poison markers in the first Shadows of Brimstone core box, City of the Ancients. Now, after analyzing the wording, "You are immune to poison markers," it seems that the sentence is a bit misleading, as overall it actually means you are immune to poison. Because when you get poisoned, you don't say you have been poison markered, as the poison marker is just a marker placed on the hero character sheet showing that your hero has been poisoned with a possible long-lasting effect. In the other Shadows of Brimstone core box, the adventure book has a paragraph talking about poison markers. So in the location where you can find some of these poison markers, in the second Shadows of Brimstone core box, Swamps of Death, in the Swamps of Death adventure book, on page 7, there we go, in the section Enemies and Poison, subsection Poison Markers, it reads, "Some events or enemy attacks will poison a hero, especially while in the Swamps of Dragano. Every turn in which a hero has one or more poison markers on them at the start of their activation, they must roll a d6 for each poison marker they currently have. On the roll of 1 or 2, the hero takes 1 wound, ignoring defense. On the roll of 3, 4, or 5, there is no effect for that marker. On the roll of a 6, the poison has worn off and the marker is discarded. If a hero is KO'd, all poison markers on them are automatically removed." Now there is a part of 3 sentences to be aware of. Some events or enemy attacks will poison a hero. Every turn in which a hero has 1 or more poison markers on them. And on the roll of a 6, the poison has worn off and the marker is discarded. And what that means is that poison markers and poison are the same thing. Poison just happens to affect a hero one time, and a poison marker is poison that can affect a hero longer until something is done about it. Now, as I said, there are no poison markers in the first Shadows of Brimstone core box, City of the Ancients, but that doesn't mean that the Rattlesnake Fangs card is useless, as the Rattlesnake Fangs card can be used in a different manner, making you immune to cards that talk just about poison, since poison markers and poison are the same. As an example, here is the Suffocating Mist card, and it is a darkness card from the first Shadows of Brimstone core box, City of the Ancients. And on it reads, "Each hero takes 3 hits. Also place this card on a random hero's map tile. Any hero ending their move on this map tile takes 2 hits." So as you can see in that little paragraph, there is nothing designating those hits as a certain kind of effect. But up here up top, here are the keywords, which are darkness and poison. And since this card has a keyword of poison, those 3 hits are actually poison. So since poison markers and poison are the same thing, poison, the Rattlesnake Fangs card will make you immune against the Suffocating Mist card. Okay, so that will end the update from the last recap. And with all that information and that long walk from the heart through the T-Junction Passage to the furnace, join our heroes as they're starting up the next step, Step 3, Room Exploration. Okay, with our next step, step 3, room exploration, we're going to go ahead and reveal the exploration token to see what we got. So let's go ahead and check it out. And we have 3 doors, encounter, and a clue icon. Alright, well, something special about this exploration token is that this is actually the 4th clue icon. And what that means is that this is our mission goal, which is 4 clue icons. So we got ourselves 1, 2, 3, and number 4. So we're going to go ahead and start off by ignoring everything that is on the exploration token. So we'll start by ignoring those 3 doors on top, and we'll go ahead and close off all the exits with an end cap piece. And then on the exploration token, you can see that it's an encounter. And then on the furnace card, the map tile card, down here it has another encounters card, which is the advanced encounters. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to discard this card also, still running, which is an encounters card. Alright, so since that is our 4th clue icon, this is our objective room, which will be our final fight. So let's go ahead and set it up for our final fight. Now before we go ahead and populate the furnace map tile, we need to go ahead and reveal our growing dread cards. So let's go ahead and take a look at our growing dread cards. And we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 of them. So let's go and take a look at our first one. And it is a fool's errand. As the realization sinks in, you come face to face with the knowledge that you shouldn't have come here. Dum bum bum. Alright, for the remainder of this adventure, all enemies do +1 damage on every hit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at this, that all those enemies are going to be in the furnace area there. There's 3 spaces in front of our gunslinger and saloon girl. So that's going to mean that, I don't know, enemies have about anywhere from 2 to 4 hits. So there's possibly 2 to 4 extra damage per attack. And either the gunslinger or the saloon girl is going to get double amount. So I think that I need to go ahead and get rid of that one. So I'm going to go ahead and have each of our heroes discard a grit, so that we can go ahead and discard that growing dread card. So there's our 4 grits, 1 from each of our heroes. And then we'll go ahead and discard this A Fool's Errand growing dread card. Alright, we're going to go ahead and have 3 left. Let's go and check out our next growing dread card. It is a stench beyond reason. The air turns sour in your mouth, and your nostrils burn as you gasp for breath. The stench of rotting death and pain is overwhelming. Every hero takes 2 horror hits. For each willpower save failed, the hero also takes d6 wounds with no defense as they vomit uncontrollably. Alright, well, it seems that our gunslinger and our saloon girl have used up their last grit. So with that, our heroes cannot spend a grit to go ahead and cancel this growing dread card. So we're going to have to just go ahead and do it. So we got ourselves 2 horror hits. Start with our gunslinger, Yvette. She's got a 4+ willpower save. So let's see what she does. Alright, 5 and 6. So she went ahead and saved on both of those. So she gets no horror hits. And then also, she's not going to take d6 wounds. Alright, so next up is going to be Shauna. And Shauna has a 4+ willpower save. So let's go ahead and see what she's got. Alright, well, she made 1. And then And she failed one, so that means she is going to take D6 wounds with no defense. So let's go ahead and see what she gets for that. Okay, so she's take 4 damage. Okay, so there's her 4 wounds. So she has a total of 8 damage now, with a total health of 14. Alright, and then along with that 4 damage, she's going to also take 1 sanity damage. Alright, next up is Sam. Sam's got a 4+ on the willpower save. See what she's got. Alright, so she rolled a 1 and a 6, so she succeeds at one, and she fails at the other one. So she's going to end up taking D6 wounds. Let's go and see what she gets. Alright, she gets a 3. So that's going to be 3 damage. So there's her 3 wounds. And she already has a wound, so now she has a total of 4 wounds on her. And then she takes 1 sanity damage. So she has 1 sanity damage on her. And finally we have Angela. Uh-oh. Angela has a 5+ willpower save. So let's see how she does. Alright, well, she made 1 and she failed 1. So let's go and see how much damage she's going to take. Okay, a 5. Alright, well here's her 5 damage, her 5 wounds. So she has 5 wounds on herself right now. And then here's her 1 sanity damage. So she has 1 sanity damage. And that is going to complete that Growing Dread card. So let's go ahead and get rid of this Stench Beyond Reason card. And next we have 2 more Growing Dread cards left. So let's see what we got here. Void Surge. The dark stone you are carrying glows brightly as it burns to the touch with an eldritch fire. All heroes immediately take 1 corruption hit for each dark stone. Poor Shauna. You'll see her in a minute here. For each dark stone they are carrying, including dark stone items. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with Yvette, or Gunslinger. She has 4 dark stone, and she has no items that have those dark stone icons. So she's going to roll 4 dice, and let's see how many saves she does. She has a 4+ willpower save. Alright, we got a 1, 2, 5, and 6. So we got 2 saves and 2 fails. So that means that she's going to take 2 corruption points. Now she has 4 corruption points on her at the moment. So that means she's going to have a total of 6 corruption points. And when she reaches 5 corruption points, she is going to mutate. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and discard her 5 corruption points. So that's going to leave her 1 corruption point on her hero character sheet. And because she's going to mutate, we're going to go and look in the Shadows of Brimstone City of the Ancients adventure book on page 58 and 59. And that is the Mutation Chart. So I'm going to go ahead and roll 2 dice. One's red, one is white. And the red is going to be the tens place. The white is going to be the ones place. And let's see what she gets for a mutation. Alright, so she gets 36. And 36 on the mutation chart. At the bottom right, it reads Void Plague. Any hero adjacent to you at the end of a turn automatically takes D3 wounds, ignoring defense. Oh, that is not good. That is not good. All right there, Yvette. You got that mutation. So let's go ahead and see what Shauna's gonna do. Alright, Shauna, she has 9 Darkstone and no items that have the Darkstone icon. So I'm going to go ahead and roll 4 dice, and then I'll roll 5 dice to see how many corruption points she's going to get or not. So she has a 4+ on her willpower save. Let's see what she does. Okay, so she saves 2, she fails 2, so I'm going to go ahead and take one of these die. There's 2 and 2, so she got 2 saves, 2 fails. And I'm going to go ahead and roll the other 5 for the total of 9 Darkstone that she has. So let's see what she has. Alright, so she saves on 2 more for a total of 4. She fails 3 more. That's going to be a total of 5. Okay, so she saves 4 and fails on 5. So as you can see, this is what could happen, where she got 4 saves, 5 fails. But instead, since Shauna has 2 corruption points at the moment, this is what is actually going to happen. Shauna realizes the saving of the corruption hits is actually sickening. The feeling of starving one's body of food. Though not a feeling of addiction and not the feeling of pain that she felt when she walked through the portal where she obtained a corruption point due to her mutation, void infection. The dark stones are a feeling of calmness overcoming her body. The feeling of what is meant to be. Her calling. Creating a path for her future, her destiny. So what happens is that after Shauna saves against 2 corruption hits, she then decides to disregard the willpower saves for the remaining 7 Darkstones and ends up taking 7 corruption points. And how is this possible, you might ask? Well, this is what you can do, or in this case, what you don't have to do. In the rulebook, on page 29, in the section Corruption and Mutation, subsection Darkstone Corruption, the last sentence reads, willpower saves may be used to prevent these corruption hits as normal. So it means that you don't need to roll a willpower save if you don't want to. So Shauna has a feeling coming over her that she just wants the feeling of calmness to embrace her. And because Shauna already has 2 corruption points, these 7 corruption hits that she let turn into corruption points will make a total of 9 corruption points. And since when Shauna reaches 5 corruption points, she's going to mutate. So Shauna will receive 1 mutation and have 4 corruption points left over. So here's Shauna's 5 corruption points. And then let's go ahead and get the Shadows of Brimstone City of the Ancients adventure book. And then on page 58 and 59, the Mutation Chart. And as I said, I'm going to roll 2 dice, red 1 and a white 1. The red is going to be the tens place, and the white is going to be the ones place. So let's go ahead and see what she gets for a mutation. Okay. Alright, 42. Let's see here. Right in the upper left, 42, eye grown over. One of your eyes has grown over with gnarled flesh. All of your critical hits do 1 less damage than normal. Okay. Well, I mean, that's really not that bad because she usually shoots 2 guns because she has those 2 holdout pistols. And because she's shooting 2 guns at once, she's not able to get critical hits anyway. So I guess that's not that bad of a mutation. But it looks like she's going to wear a really cool eye patch though. Arr! She's a pirate! Arr! Alright, so that's going to do it for Shauna. Let's go ahead and go on with Sam, our U.S. Marshal. So she has 3 Darkstone and 1, 2, 3, 4 items that have Darkstone icons. So that's going to be a total of 7 dice that she has to roll. She has a 4+ willpower. So let's go and check that out. Oh, wow, that's really good. Wow. Okay, so she has a 1, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6. So she fails once. That's it. Alright, so she's going to get 1 corruption point. And she only had 2 corruption points on her at the moment. So that's a total of 3. So Sam is not going to mutate. Alright. Let's go to our last hero, which is Angela. And she doesn't have any Darkstone. And she doesn't have any items on her that have the Darkstone icon. Most likely because, remember, she has that mutation, Darkstone allergy. So she doesn't want to carry any kind of Darkstone or have any kind of Darkstone items. So that's probably why she doesn't have any. Alright, well, we don't have to worry about her, so she doesn't have to roll. So that's good there. And that's going to do it for this Growing Dread card. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And then we have 1 left, which is Powerful Dread. It takes all of your willpower to not simply turn and flee at the sight before you. Every hero must make a single willpower save. For each failed save, move the darkness 2 steps forward on the depth track. Oh, that's not good. Alright, single willpower save. Alright, first one up is Yvette. So let's see what she gets. Oh, she gets a 1, so she fails. So that means we're going to move the darkness marker 2 steps forward on the depth track. So it's at 8 right now, so it's going to move up to 10. And 10 actually has a blood splatter on it. So that means we have to draw a darkness card. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out and see what we got. There's our darkness cards, and we have Tentacles from the Void. The keywords are darkness and attack. Massive tentacles erupt from the floor, savagely slashing at the heroes. Ambush attack. A P die of tentacles. So that's a peril die of tentacles. Alright, so let's go with Shauna now. Shauna has a 4+ on her willpower save. Let's see what she does. Alright, she rolled a 6. So she makes it. That's good. And next we have Sam. Sam has a 4+ on her willpower save. Oh, and she gets a 3. Okay, so she fails. So with that, that means that the darkness marker is going to move 2 steps forward on the depth track. So it's on space 10, so it's going to go to 11 and then down to 12. And since it bypassed space 11, that is a Growing Dread card. And we have, let's see here, 1, 2, and 3 Growing Dread cards left. So we'll go ahead and just put that Growing Dread card right there off to the side. And then our last one is going to be Angela. And she needs a 5+ on her willpower save. Alright, so she gets a 6. So she saves it. Okay, so we don't have to worry about moving that darkness marker up 2 steps. So that's going to go ahead and we'll discard this Growing Dread card. Let's go and take a look at this one. Dread. You shudder to think of what lay before you. Move the darkness 1 step forward on the depth track. Uh-oh. Alright, so it's on space 12. So it's going to go up to space 13. And that's a blood splatter. So that means we have to draw a darkness card. I'll get our darkness deck and see what we get. Terror from Beyond. Keywords are darkness and attack. Unspeakable evil lurks in the shadows that lay beyond the lighted gate. Alright, that is an ambush attack with 1 night terror. So before we continue on to draw the epic threat card, let's go ahead and place our ambushing enemies. So for the tentacles, it says that there's a P die of tentacles, and that P die is a peril die. And there's the peril die. So I'm going to roll this to see how many tentacles appear. Okay, we got a 5. So let's go get 5 tentacles. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and place the tentacles next to the heroes, and 1 will go to each hero, and then we'll have 1 extra tentacle, so one of the heroes will get 2. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a die, and for the odd number, it'll be in front of them. So for Yvette, let's go ahead and roll the die to see where the tentacle appears. Odd in front. Odd it is. Alright, so let's go and place a tentacle right in front of Yvette. And for Shauna, odd in front. Oh, it's an even, so that one's in the back. And then for Sam, odd in front. Odd, so it goes in front. And then Angela, odd in front. And evens, this one's going to be in the back. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll an 8-sider to see who gets the other tentacle. So 1, 2 for Yvette, 3, 4 for Shauna, 5, 6 for Sam, and 7, 8 for Angela. That's an 8. So Angela is going to get the second tentacle. Right in front of her there. Alright, and then we have to go and place the Night Terror. So Angela has 2 enemies on her at the moment. So we're going to go ahead and choose the other 3. So 1, 2 for Yvette, 3, 4 for Shauna, and 5, 6 for Sam. And 6 it is. So Sam is going to get a Night Terror next to her. There we go. Alright, that's the placement of the models onto the map tiles. And let's go ahead and get the tokens for the initiative track. Okay, so let's go with our tentacles. And the tentacles are coming in with a initiative of 2. And then they have a +2 initiative because they are ambushing. So that is going to put them at a 4. And Sam and Shauna are a 4. So that means that the tentacles are going to go just before Shauna. And then our Night Terrors. So our Night Terrors are initiative 3. They're going to get a +2 for initiative because they are ambushing. And then also the darkness card, Demonic Speed, up here is going to give all demon enemies +1 initiative and a +2 move. And the Night Terrors are a demon, so they get +2, so they're going to come in at a 6 initiative. And Yvette, our Gunslinger, is a 6. And because when the enemies and heroes are tied, the enemies go first. So, right up there. And there's the placement of our ambushing enemies onto the map tile and onto the initiative track. So now let's go ahead and draw that threat card and see what we get. Alright, so here's our epic threat deck. And we're going to get 1 Goliath, and 2 low threat cards. Alright. So right off the bat, we can get the Goliath. And we'll put the Goliath right over here, waiting to get onto the furnace map tile. And then we're going to go ahead and draw those 2 threat cards. Now as you can see, they look like the normal threat cards, which are these green ones. Okay, but we are in an otherworld, and when you are in an otherworld and you draw an epic threat card and it says to draw a threat card, you're actually going to draw one of these instead. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw our 2 low threat cards from the Otherworld threat deck, Targa Plateau. And let's see what we get here. First one up are the Snow Tears. Alright. Grab one of those guys. And there's our Snow Tear. Now let's go ahead and check out what we have for the other. Our Otherworld threat deck for Targa Plateau, and we get a Wandering Enemy. Okay, let's go and check that out. Now for the Wandering Enemy, so as you can see here, they look like the normal threat cards, and so do those look like normal threat cards. But when you draw an epic threat and it says to draw more cards, you need to draw those cards in the world that you're in. So if you're in the mines, you'll draw a normal threat, but if you're in the Otherworld, you'll go ahead and draw the Otherworld threat cards from that threat deck. Now with the Wandering Enemy, when you're in an Otherworld, so you'll go ahead and draw from the normal threat deck. Okay, so we'll be drawing a low threat card from the normal threat deck for the Wandering Enemies. So let's go and see what we get. Alright, we get a P die of Void Spiders and a P die of Stranglers. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's go ahead and see how many Void Spiders we get. Alright, we get a 5. So let me go ahead and grab 5 Void Spiders. Alright, here we go. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we need to go ahead and see how many Stranglers we got. Alright, so we got 4. So let me go and get those 4 Stranglers. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so let's go ahead and start placing them onto the furnace map tile and check out where they are in the initiative order. So looking at their cards here, let's see there. You see those there? No, over here? Here you go. Okay, so we have the Goliath at initiative 2, Snow Tears and Stranglers at initiative 4. The Void Spiders are at initiative 6. Alright, the Goliath, the Snow Tears, and the Stranglers are demons, so they are going to get a +1 initiative over there. So Goliath will have a 3, Snow Tears and Stranglers will have a 5, Void Spiders will have a 6. So we're going to go ahead and place them onto the map tile in the lowest initiative first. So our Goliath is going to be way in the back. And then the next up are going to be the Snow Tears and Stranglers. And when the enemies are tied, we need to go ahead and roll to see which one is going to go first. So I'll roll the die, and on an odd, the Snow Tears will go first. Alright, there's a 3. So the Snow Tears are going to go first. Put the Snow Tear right, let's see, yep, it's more than half. You can go right there. And then the Stranglers, they're going to go next. And remember, go ahead and place them in checkerboard fashion. There's that. Let's see, right there. Nope, it's right there. There. And there. And then our 5 Void Spiders are last. So let's go and place them. Let's see, in there. 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 And one's right up front. Nice. Alright, so let's go ahead and place our tokens onto the initiative track. And we have our Void Spiders are initiative 6, and so is that Night Terrors. So we need to roll to see who's going to go first. And then odd will be for the Night Terror. Alright, we got an even. So that means the Void Spiders are going to go first. There we go. And next in line we have the Snow Terrors and the Stranglers. And the Snow Terrors went first, so... And they go on initiative 5, and that is just after Yvette and before the Tentacles. So let's go ahead and move these down. Oh, this is getting kind of crunchy here. Okay, right there. And then a Strangler is going to go in there. Add a little bit more. There you go. And then finally we have our Goliath. And the Goliath is at initiative 2, but its demonic speed gives him a +1, so he's at a 3. And Angela is actually at an initiative 3. So then the Goliath is going to go before her. Alright. That's a lot of tokens there. Alright, well that's going to end step 3, room exploration. And we went ahead and we got all our enemies onto the furnace map tile there. And all the ambushing enemies all gathering around the heroes in the back there. Everything on the initiative track's all set up, so that's going to end step 3. Then we go on to step 4, end of the turn. So if anyone's got any kind of cards or abilities that can do at step 4, they can go ahead and do them. And Shauna is the only one with her comforting presence. And at the moment, Yvette has no wounds and no sanity damage on her, so Shauna can't do anything with her comforting presence. So that's gonna end step 4 and turn 27. So let's go ahead and continue on with turn 28. Now before we continue on with turn 28, at the end of turn 27, this is when Shauna should have taken some wounds from Yvette's mutation, Void Plague. So since Shauna is next to Yvette, Yvette's mutation, Void Plague, begins to affect Shauna, as the Void Plague affects any hero that is adjacent to the hero that has the Void Plague mutation at the end of a turn. So Shauna looks over towards Yvette and cringes back a little as she notices approaching wisps of black and dark purple vapors emerging from several darkened patches that have formed on Yvette's skin underneath some of her mutations, those fused rocks. As the wisps of black and dark purple vapors land on Shauna, Shauna will automatically take D3 wounds, ignoring defense from Yvette's mutation, Void Plague. So let's go ahead and roll a D3 and see how many wounds she takes. Okay, she rolled a 4, which is a 2 on a D3. So Shauna is going to go ahead and take 2 wounds. So that means that Shauna now has a total of 10 wounds on her. Now with Shauna so close to being knocked out, Yvette looks down and notices the wisps of black and dark purple vapors from her mutation moving towards Shauna, and then tosses over some bandages and says, "Oops." So Yvette's going to go ahead and toss Shauna the bandages token, and Shauna's going to go ahead and apply the bandages to herself to remove some of those wounds that she has on her. So let's go and see how much she removes. Okay, oh, those are some good bandages. You got 6. So let's go ahead and remove 6 of those wounds. And that's going to leave 4 wounds on Shauna. So there's the 6. After Shauna finishes bandaging up her wounds, Yvette also makes a comment. Maybe you should use some of those bandages to cover up the gnarled flesh that has grown over your left eye. So Shauna quickly wraps some bandages around her head and covers up her left eye. Alright, so now that Shauna is feeling a little bit better, let's go ahead and continue on with turn 28. So let's go ahead and move our first player marker all the way back up to the top of the initiative track. And we're going to have to go ahead and move this little section of the area that was on the other side of that portal. So our void spiders are going to be first up here. And then we're going to go ahead and have our saloon girl Shauna hold back the darkness. Alright, so we got an 11. That means that Shauna has held back the darkness because she needed an 8+, and we got an 11. That's pretty good. So now as our heroes get ready to take on this overflowing quantity of enemies, a shriek of pain cuts through the air. Yvette and Shauna turn around to see Angela helplessly looking at Sam as Sam is twisting in pain from some unseen force. And then Sam rips open her shirt as a blinding blue light shines into the T-junction passage, and they see a small version of that glowing blue portal in Sam's chest. Okay, so what Sam has is a mutation, and it's called Chest Portal. And on a 11 or 12 for Hold Back the Darkness, we're going to go ahead and roll a d6. On a 1 through 3, an ambush attack of a low threat. And then on a 4 or 5, nothing happens. And on a 6, draw an artifact card from the mines. Alright, let's go ahead and roll a d6 and see what we get. 1. Alright. Well, that means that she's going to mutate an ambush attack. Alright, so let's go and grab the Otherworld threat cards for the target plateau and see what kind of a ambush attack from the target plateau has in store for them. So here's our Otherworld threat deck, and we have Ancient Spiders. Alright, so it's a low threat, so it's a P die of Ancient Spiders. Let's go and roll a peril die to see how many Ancient Spiders show up. Alright, so we get a 5. So there's going to be 5 Ancient Spiders. So let me go and get those 5 Ancient Spiders. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and place those Ancient Spiders. And what it says in the adventure book also is that they're placed as close to you as possible. And then during their first activation, they'll select their targets. So let's go ahead and just move them around. Sam, one there, one's back here, here, and let's see, one back here, and one right there. Alright, the next we're going to go ahead and get the Ancient Spiders token onto the initiative track. Here's our Ancient Spiders enemy record sheet, and it has an initiative of 6, but because it's ambushing, it's going to get a +2 to its initiative. So it's going to have an initiative of 8, so that's going to put them way up on top. So let's go ahead and move our initiative tokens downward because the Ancient Spiders is going to be way up on top. And there we go, all the way up there. Alright, so let's go ahead and get ready for all of these enemies to attack. So now after Yvette sees the spiders emerge from a small version of that glowing blue portal in Sam's chest, Yvette thinks back quickly and now understands why Angela was so protective of Sam, always rubbing Sam's belly and protecting Sam's chest like a protective mother. It wasn't because they were cuddly towards each other, or maybe it was after Yvette saw them kiss at the tent opening at the campsite when she left. Angela was calming Sam down so that the portal would not open. Now you might be wondering why the Ancient Spiders and the Snow Tear are red and not gray, as I got them from the same person that I bought the Shadows of Brimstone Kickstarter, Wave 2, Minecart Pledge level, Round 8 from. And if you want to get some of these red models to use them for these enemy types, the Ancient Spiders and the Snow Tears, as I'm doing here, then you'll have to either buy them from someone who has them already or from the Flying Frog Productions website. So with these additional enemy models, I'm going to be able to have 12 Void Spiders and 12 Ancient Spiders, and also 3 Night Terrors and 3 Snow Terrors on the board at the same time. Now if you don't want to buy new models for the Ancient Spiders and the Snow Terrors, if you'd like to, you can go ahead and check out the playlists, unboxing and also miniature assembling for the unboxing and assembling of these Ancient Spiders and Snow Terrors models. In both videos, you can see that I made up some tokens to be used for the Ancient Spiders and the Snow Terrors so that you can use them if you don't want to buy or have the models for them. The information for the links to the PDF files can be found in the show notes of the Ancient Spiders and the Snow Terrors unboxing video. Now some of you might be thinking, nah, I'll just use the enemy models of the Void Spiders and the Night Terrors, since those models are what the Ancient Spiders and the Snow Terrors use. And that's all great and dandy, but this is the mechanic of what is going to happen. If you have 9 Void Spiders on a map tile, and you draw another card for 6 Ancient Spiders, then you have exceeded the amount of models that you have for the game, which is 12. So then what happens, as you know, if you don't have enough models to place on the map tile, then those spiders are going to turn into elite spiders. Now, depending on which world you are in, the mines or another world, is what type of spiders they are going to turn into and what elite ability is going to occur. If you are in the mines, then all of the spiders are going to turn into elite Void Spiders. And if in an other world, then all of the spiders are going to turn into elite Ancient Spiders. And then use whatever enemy you got to determine what elite ability you will get. Now since these enemy types are different, the Void Spiders and the Ancient Spiders are supposed to have 12 models for each type, and the Night Terrors and the Snow Terrors are supposed to have 3 models for each type. So just remember this, depending on how many models you have. Okay, so let's go ahead and start up by going with Step 2, models activate in initiative order. And the first one up is going to be our Ancient Spiders. So let's go and take a look at their enemy record sheet. And here we have Ancient Spiders, and they are considered a beast and void. They are a small size with initiative of 8 now. Normally they have a 6, but because of the +2 initiative for being an ambush enemy. And then the Ancient Spiders are just like Void Spiders, but they do have a couple extra abilities here. So we got that Hunger ability, melee to hit 3+, So we're down here to hit melee 3+. And then we also have Void Bite. Ancient Spider to hit rolls of 5 or 6, do double damage. And then because it's a void enemy, we have a defense of 1 because of the Strength of the Void Darkness card. Okay, so let's go ahead and have our Ancient Spiders designate who they're going to attack. So this lone Ancient Spider right here, that one's going to turn around and jump into this space. And then this one right here is going to jump up into this space. And the one that moved up closer to our heroes, that one's going to go ahead and attack Shauna, because Shauna just has that tentacle behind her. And Yvette has the tentacle and the Void Spider in front of her. So now both of those heroes have 2 enemies each that will be attacking them. So now we're going to have them go ahead and attack. And the Ancient Spiders, they have a combat at 2, and each hit is going to cause 2 damage each. So let's see what they got. So the one on Shauna, that one's going to attack, and it needs a 3+ to hit. Okay, so we got a 1 and a 4. So one is going to miss, one's going to hit. So let's go ahead and see if Shauna can go ahead and roll a defense against that one. That's a 3+. And she gets a 4. Okay, right off the bat, Shauna dodges out of the way there from the Ancient Spider trying to nibble at her. And that's going to end that one. So now we have the Ancient Spider diagonally behind and to the left of Angela is going to target Angela and is going to attack. Alright, we got a 2 and a 6. So this one's going to miss, this one's going to hit, and then also that one's going to do a Void Bite, so this is possibly going to cause double damage. So Angela needs to defend with a 4+, so let's see if she can do that. Alright, no problem there, Angela. She goes ahead and just kicks it with her boot and get out of here. Get out of the way. So then the last Ancient Spider, diagonally in front of and to the left of Sam, is going to target Sam and is going to attack. Alright, so we have 1 miss, 1 hit, and she needs a 3+. Let's see what happens. Oh, she misses it by 1. That's not good. Alright, so that means the Ancient Spider is going to nibble on Sam's left foot there and cause her 2 wounds. So that means that she has a total of 6 wounds on her right now. Okay, so that's going to end the Ancient Spider's turn. Next up is going to be the Void Spiders. Now before the Void Spiders go, Angela tosses over and gives Sam a bandage to heal herself with. Let's see how much Sam heals up. Alright, so she heals up 3. There are 3 wounds that Sam heals up with. So let's go and see what the Void Spiders have in store for our heroes. So they're going to go ahead and move up. That's right there. And the other ones really can't move much. This one will move over. This one will move there. This one will move here. Alright, there we go. So now we have 1 Void Spider in front of Yvette and 1 Void Spider in front of Shauna. They have 2 combat. They need 4+. So the Void Spiders need 4+ to hit, and the Ancient Spiders need 3+ to hit. So let's see if the Void Spiders can hit. Okay, so the first Void Spider is going to attack Yvette. Alright, 1 and a 3. Both of those are misses. Okay, so Yvette is missed by that Void Spider. So now the other Void Spider in front of Shauna is going to attack. Oh, double twos, so that misses Shauna. Nice. All right, well, those heroes are going to bypass the attacking of those void spiders. And then the other 3 void spiders, they're just going to sit in the background there having a cigarette. And next up is going to be the Night Terror. That's right next to Sam. So our Night Terror's got 4 combat, doing 4 damage each, and needs a 5+ to hit. Okay, so it gets a 2, 3, 3, and 4. Oh, so one arm goes flying over the head of Sam, and Sam turns around, and the other one goes directly onto her left side, and it crashes right into the side bag that Sam is carrying. And it just recoils its hand and just screams out in pain. Ah! It has no idea what it hit that's inside that bag. Alright, that's going to end the Night Terror's turn. So next up is the Gunslinger, Yvette. So starting off with her activation, she's got to make a lot of horror hits because, first of all, she's on the seam that's between the 2 map tiles, the T-junction passage and the furnace, and we have the Night Terror on the T-junction passage, and then we have the Snow Terror and the Goliath on the furnace. So she's going to have to do some horror hit savings. So for the Night Terror and the Snow Terror, she's got to save against their ability Terror, where a hero starting their activation on the same map tile automatically takes 2 horror hits. So that's 2 and 2 for a total of 4. And then she's got to save against the Goliath's ability Unspeakable Terror. A hero starting their activation on the same or adjacent map tile automatically takes 3 horror hits. Okay, so that's a total of 2 and 2 and 3 for a total of 7 horror hits that Yvette has to save against. So Yvette has a 4+ willpower save. So let's see how many of those she saves against. Alright, so we got 1 and 2. Those are fails. 4, 4, 6, 6, and a 6. Alright, so she fails against 2 of them. So Yvette is going to take 2 sanity damage. And so that's what she has on her at the moment, is just 2 sanity damage. And then next, what she's going to do right away is she's going to go ahead and use up this journal pages, where she can discard this to recover 1 grit and gain 50 XP. Alright, so here's her 1 grit. So now she has 1 grit on her hero character sheet. And then next we're going to go ahead and move. So next she's going to go ahead and start her activation by moving. Now we are in the final room here, and she notices that there's a bunch of flora on the walls there, and then she sees a bunch of fauna skirting around the room there. So she says, "Shauna, this is the room. Get the specimen jars out. We got to get the flora and fauna out." So what she's going to do is she's got the specimen jar where she's going to go ahead and give up her move to try and find a sample of the local flora or fauna in here. So Yvette, she's going to go ahead and look for the flora, and she's got to go ahead and do a cunning 5+ test, and she's got a cunning of 3, so she needs to get a 5+. Alright, 2, 5, and a 6. So she made it. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark off that she found one of the items, the flora. And there we go. So we got it checked off. So she scrapes a bunch of flora off the wall there and stuffs it into the specimen jar. And that takes up her move, but we still have to roll for any kind of issues that might occur from moving. So one of them is the possibility that she might get a grit. So let's go ahead and roll move and see if she rolls a 1 or a 6. Okay, nope. So she doesn't get a grit out of that. If she rolled a 1, she would have got this effect, Frigid Snow, from the Targa Plateau World card. Okay, so Yvette, she's going to go ahead and attack, and she's going to go ahead and use that grit that she just got so that she can go ahead and use the pistol fanning. So spend a grit to double the number of shots, and she gets 2, so it's going to be 4. Let's see what she gets. She needs a 3 or better. Alright, get a 1, 5, 5, and a 6. Excellent. Okay, so she's going to go ahead and got a critical here, and there's a failure. So let's see, we'll take 1 shot. We're going to go ahead and put on the Ancient Spider behind her. And then the critical and the regular shot, she's going to go against that tentacle right in front of her. So let's see what she gets for damage. So she's going to go ahead and shoot at the one behind her, the Ancient Spider. Oh, 6. That's excellent. So that spider explodes into a bunch of icky ichor. And then she's going to go ahead and roll against the tentacle in front of her. Let's go ahead and roll the critical damage. So that's going to go straight through. Okay, blam! It goes straight through. And it did have a defense of 3, but it bypasses that since it was a critical, and it takes that tentacle out. Excellent. Nice shooting, Yvette. Okay, so that is going to end Yvette's turn. So next up is the Snow Terror. Alright, Snow Terror is way over there on the other side of the room. So it's going to go ahead and just huff and puff its way up forward. Since it is a large enemy, you can go ahead and push these smaller enemies out of the way. So it goes there. This one will get pushed back to there. This one will get pushed to there. And it stops right in front of Yvette. So this ain't good. We'll see what happens. Alright, it's got combat of 4, damage of 4, and it's got a melee of 5 plus. Let's see if it hits our gunslinger. Alright, 1, 2, 4, and 5. So it just barely makes one of them. So we got 3 misses and 1 hit. And Yvette, she's got a 5 plus on her defense. So see what happens. Oh! That's a 2. That's not good. So Yvette's going to end up taking 4 wounds. So she has a total of 4 wounds on her so far. Okay, so that's going to end the Snow Terror's turn. Next up we have the Stranglers. Alright, Stranglers see one spot that's open. The Strangler jumps right in there. Mine, my space, I get it. The other ones are going to move over here. And then this one is going to move over there. Moves around that one. Alright, so which one's the Strangler going to attack? Right now Shauna has 2 enemies on her. So that means that's going to be Yvette. Alright, so let's see what the Stranglers can do. Alright, they got 4 combat, 1 damage each, and they need a melee 3 plus to hit. Alright, 1, 1, 3, and 5. Okay, so they missed twice, they hit twice. This is against Yvette. So Yvette needs a 5 plus to defend. Ooh, double fives, excellent. So she defends against that Strangler's attack. Alright, that's going to end the Strangler's turn. So next up are the Tentacles. Here we have 4 Tentacles out there. 1 on Shauna, 2 on Angela, and 1 on Sam. Alright, they have 3 combat, 3 damage each, and they need a 4+ for melee to hit. So the one behind Shauna is going to attack her. Alright, 1, 3, and 5. So that one misses twice, hits once, and that's going to do 3 damage. But we'll see if Shauna can save on that. So she needs a 3+. And she gets a 2. Oh, that's not good. So that's going to be 3 damage. So here's the 3 damage. So she has 3 wounds more for a total of 7 on her at the moment. And actually, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to use her acrobatic dodge, where she can go ahead and, once per turn, reroll a failed defense roll. Alright, 4. Okay, that makes it. So I'll go ahead and take those 3 wounds that were on her. So now she's back to 4 wounds on her. Alright, next up are... next one will be the Tentacle in front of Sam. Oh crap. 5, 5, and 5. Alright, so Sam has a defense of 3. Let's see if she saves against them. 2, 5, and 6. Alright, so she saves against 2. So that's going to be 3 damage on her. There's 3 damage. So the 3 wounds with the other 3 wounds. She has a total of 6 wounds on her at the moment. And then the last 2 are on Angela. So the one in front of her is going to attack. 1, 3, and 3. Well, that's a miss, miss, and miss. And then the one behind her is going to attack. Oh, jeez. 1, 2, 3. Alright, that's a miss, miss, miss. I think their tentacles got tied up above her head. Alright, that's good. Good, nice and lucky there, Angela. Alright, so that's going to end the Tentacles' turn. Next up, we have our Saloon Girl, Shauna. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start up with the beginning of her activation. She's got to make those horror hits. So we have the 2 from the Night Terror, 2 from the Snow Terror, and 3 from the Goliath. That's a total of 7. And she has a 4+ willpower save. Let's see what she gets. Okay, we got a 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so she saves on 2, and she fails 5. So she's going to take 5 sanity damage. She has 1 already on her, so that's going to be a total of 6. She doesn't have any whiskey, so she's just going to have to live with that, I guess. Okay, next up, she's going to go ahead and do her movement. Now she's going to go ahead and try and use that specimen jar that Yvette gave her. So she's got to go ahead and fill in that space on the right. She needs to do a cunning 5+, and she has a cunning of a 4. So let's see if she can get a 5+ on that. 1, 1, 3, and 4. So that is a no. So she's trying to catch these little critters that are running around, and they're jumping over her and under her legs and around her and jumping off the wall, and she does not make it. So now she has to go ahead and do part of her move where she could possibly get a grit or even that frigid snow effect. Oh, so So she gets a 1. Alright, so she's going to get a grit on that from rolling that. And then she would have also got 1 damage from the Frigid Snow Weather effect from the Targa Plateau's World card. But Shauna wears a weathered poncho that ignores weather effects. So no damage for Shauna. Alright, so Shauna's up. She's going to go ahead and attack. Alright, she's got the holdout pistol and the repeating holdout pistol. So she needs a 4+. And the holdout pistol's got 1 shot. Oh, possible critical. But she's not going to get that, and I'll tell you that in a minute. As the repeating holdout pistol goes off. And a 1 and 2. I think that thing scared her. Okay, so the critical hit she cannot get because she's holding 2 guns. She's dual wielding them, and she's not proficient, not having kind of ability or a card that will let her use 2 guns without the penalty that you cannot get critical hits if you dual wield. So that's just going to be a normal hit. And also with the holdout pistol that she's using, the 1 single shot, she can do a free attack once per fight. So she's going to go ahead and use that right now. And, well, never mind, she got a 1, so she doesn't get that. So she's got 1 hit. And she's going to go ahead and shoot the Void Spider that's in front of her. Okay, so let's see what she gets for damage. Oh, she gets a 5. Nice. The little gun's got a good kick to it. And the Void Spiders have a health of 3 but a defense of 1. So that's just going to be enough that Shauna is going to take that Void Spider out. Excellent. Nice shooting there, Shauna. Okay, so that's going to end Shauna's turn. And let's go ahead and go on to Sam, our U.S. Marshal. Alright, so she's got to go ahead and start her activation by doing some horror hits. Now, Sam is back on the T-Junction Passage, and the Night Terror is the only one that's there. So she just has to do 2 of them. She's got a 4+ willpower save, so let's see what she does. Alright, 1 and a 6. So she fails 1 and she makes 1. So she's just going to take 1 sanity damage. Excellent. Alright, so let's go ahead and do our move. And she's just going to pretty much just stay there. And as she's staying there, she's going to go ahead and switch out from her hunting rifle, and she's going to use her shotgun. So let me go ahead and do a move roll to see if she gets 1 for a possible grit. 2. Okay, well, oh wait, actually it's a 1 or 2. So she'll get a grit for rolling the 2 while in the Targa Plateau. And now she's going to go ahead and attack with that shotgun. Now she's kind of scared of that big teddy bear Night Terror, so she's going to load up that shotgun and take that thing out. So she's going to go ahead and shoot the Night Terror. She needs a 4+, and she's going to be using a D8. Oh, boom, 7. Alright, Night Terror's got a defense of 3 with a health of 12, but that 7 is a critical, so it's going to bypass that defense. So let's go ahead and see how much damage she's going to do to this thing. Oh, 3. Well, that's not that good. You know what? She's going to use a grit to go ahead and re-roll that damage. And a 2. Okay, well, I guess she should have stuck with a 3. Alright, so the Night Terror is going to take 2 wounds. Alright, so that is going to end Sam, our U.S. Marshal's turn. So let's Let's see here, we have the Goliath. All right, let's see what this big green thing can do. All right, well, it's going to move all the way up there, and it has a bunch of enemies in its way. So it's going to activate its snowplow ability. It's going to plow its way through there. Let's see if I can get in here and move things out of the way. Actually, no, just these three. It comes all the way up here. Its mouth tongues are just flipping all around the place there, and it's ready to start mulching everyone. So our Goliath is a new one. So here's our Goliath enemy record sheet. And Goliath is a demon, extra large size. It's normally a initiative 2, but now it's a 3 because of demonic speed. It's got 3 abilities. Unspeakable Terror, where a hero starting their activation on the same or adjacent map tile automatically takes 3 horror hits. Got Flailing Tentacles, and there's 3, so rolls a 3 combat attack against every hero within 3 spaces. Tough, it's immune to critical hits. Alright, so in the combat here you can see the asterisks, and that's what it means up here. So Flailing Tentacles is its combat attack. Melee 3+ to hit, damage of 3 for each one of those that hits the hero. Defense of 3 with a health of 24. Alright, so let's see from where the Goliath is at. We have 1, 2, 3. So Sam and Angela are on the 4th space, so they are not going to get hit by those Flailing Tentacles. So let's go ahead and do the 3 attacks on Yvette first. And it's going to need a 3+ to hit. Get a 1, 3, and a 4. Alright, so we have 1 fail, 2 make it. And then Yvette has a defense of 5+. Alright, well, she fails 1 and makes 1. But then she has the armor 4+ from her mutation. So let's see what she can do with that. And a 5. Alright, way to go there, Yvette. So she saves against those Flailing Tentacles. And let's go and see the attack on Shauna. 1, 1, and a 6. Alright, that's not good. 2 fails, and actually the 6 really isn't nothing. It's not a critical or anything like that. So Shauna needs a 3+ to save. And a 5, so she saves. Whoa, that is really nice. Alright, so that's going to end the Goliath's turn. And the last one up is Angela, or Bandita. So she's going to first, starting of her activation, she has to do the horror hits, and this is only going to be against that Night Terror that's off to her left. So she has to do 2 horror hit saves at a 5+ willpower save. Alright, well, she gets a 1 and a 5, so she fails 1 and saves 1. So then she's going to end up taking 1 sanity damage. So she has a total of 2 sanity damage on her at the moment. So now she's going to go ahead and move. I'm probably just going to stay there, but see what she gets for a move. Okay, she gets a 5, so that's not going to do anything for her. So she's going to go ahead and attack now. And she has a bunch of those spiders coming around her, and she's starting to freak out, where she's almost going to do that upgrade, which is Brawling, Swinging Fists. And if you remember several rooms back in the mine, that she did that when Shauna was close to her, and put Shauna into the wall and put a big gouge into her chest. So she's going to try and resist doing that, but instead she just goes ahead and grabs her veil and pulls it down and exposes the fangs, and she turns around and bites that tentacle. Okay, so she's going to use her mutation fangs, where she gets a bite as a free attack. And it's 1 combat, D6, and she's going to do a D8 damage. Alright, so she needs a 4+ on her melee. Oh, she gets a 4, and we'll see how much damage she's going to do on that tentacle. Oh, that is a big chunk. Alright, and the tentacle has a health of 4 with a defense of 3. That makes 7, so she actually kills it. Oh my god. She takes a chunk out of that tentacle, and it just falls to the floor. And what's bad is that this bite attack, if it wounds a void enemy, she's going to take 1 corruption hit. And a tentacle is a void enemy. Okay, so she needs to roll a 5+ for a willpower save to see if she can save against that corruption hit so she doesn't get a corruption point. Oh, a 4. Alright, that's not good. So that means that Angela, she ends up getting another corruption point. She has 3 already, so now she's at 4 corruption points. Uh-oh, 1 more and she's going to mutate. Alright, let's go ahead and get that tentacle off the map tile because she bit that thing in half. Alright, so she's got her pistol with 2 shots. So she's going to go ahead and shoot, and she needs a 5+ to hit. Oh, 1 and a 4. Well, that's not good. That's a miss. Alright, well that's going to end our Bandita's turn. So that's going to end step 2. And let's go on to step 3, room exploration. And we've already explored the room as we got a bunch of enemies coming out to meet us. So then let's go ahead and move on to step 4, end of the turn. And if our heroes have any kind of cards or abilities, we'll go ahead and do them now. So Shauna has the ability Comforting Presence. That can remove 1 wound or 1 sanity damage. And since Yvette is right next to Shauna, Yvette is going to go ahead and remove 1 wound. So Yvette is now at 3 wounds. And then Yvette has that mutation Void Plague, and it says that any hero adjacent to Yvette at the end of a turn automatically takes D3 wounds, ignoring defense. So Shauna is adjacent, so let's see how many wounds she's going to take. Alright, she gets a 1. So Shauna is going to go ahead and take 1 wound. So she has a total of 5 wounds on her now. Alright, well that's going to end step 4 and turn 28. So let's go ahead and continue on with turn 29. Now before moving on to turn 29, we had several issues last turn. First was when Yvette got attacked by the Snow Terror. She failed her defense roll, but I forgot to roll for her armor 4+. I did roll for her armor 4+ when the Goliath attacked, but just forgot about it earlier with the Snow Terror attack. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for that armor 4+ to see if Yvette's going to be okay. And she gets a 2. So nope, so she failed that. So that means those wounds that she got last time are going to stay. Then, when Shauna saved against the 7 horror hits, somehow the die with the 4 on it snuck into the fail pile. So I ended up giving Shauna 5 sanity damage instead of 4 sanity damage. So she should only have 5 sanity damage on her at the moment instead of 6. And finally, at the beginning of each hero's activation, The hero needs to save against the horror hits produced by the Night Terror and or the Snow Terror and the Goliath. Well, I saw the Night Terror next to Sam and Angela, and because Sam and Angela are on a different map tile than the Goliath, I didn't think about the Goliath's unspeakable terror that would produce 3 horror hits to Sam and Angela since they are on an adjacent map tile. So I'm going to go ahead and roll 3 additional horror hits for Sam and Angela. So let's go ahead and start with Sam. Sam has a willpower save of 4+, so let's go and see how she does. Alright, so she makes 2, and she fails 1. So Sam is going to take 1 sanity damage, and now she has a total of 3 sanity damages. And now for Angela, Angela has a willpower save of 5+. So let's see how she does. Alright, so she saves 1 and she ends up failing 2. So Angela is going to take 2 sanity damage. And now she has a total of 4 sanity damage. And now before continuing on to turn 29, I have a couple of other items. So it looks like the Target Plateau is continuing to bring in some snow as I went ahead and primed the remaining gray and red enemy models with some black and white primer as we start our painting process. The black showing the shadows and the white showing the highlights. And if you'd like to, you can go ahead and check out the playlist Miniature Painting for the updates on the miniatures that I'm going to be painting for all of my games. So let's go ahead and check out some of these enemies that are all primed up. First are the ancient spiders. Then we have the Night Terror. And the Tentacles. And the Snow Terror. Then we have the Void Spiders. And the Stranglers. And finally our big bad greenie, the Goliath. There we go. Alright, they're looking pretty good. And finally, I need to go ahead and adjust the initiative track. So up at the top, first up are the ancient spiders, and they have an initiative of 8, and that is due to the +2 initiative from the ambushing. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this paper. So now they have an initiative of 6. The void spiders, just underneath them, they also have an initiative of 6. So I'm going to have to go ahead and roll randomly to see which enemy is going to go first. So on a roll of an odd, the ancient spiders will go ahead and go first. And a 1, so that's odd. So the ancient spiders are going to go first, so they'll just go ahead and stay right there. Next up are the night terrors, and they have an initiative of 6, and that is also due to the +2 initiative from the ambushing. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this paper. So their initiative is now a 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and just place them right here for now. And then move up the other initiative tokens up here. And then the tentacles, they have an initiative of 4. and that is due to the +2 initiative from the ambushing. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this paper so that their initiative is now going to be a 2. So now I'm going to go ahead and move the tentacles all the way down to the bottom here below Angela, because Angela has an initiative of 3. And then finally place the Night Terrors right there on the initiative track, since it has an initiative of 4. But Shauna, our Saloon Girl, and Sam, our U.S. Marshal, they also have an initiative of 4. But if the enemy and a hero are tied for initiative, then the enemy goes first. So let me go ahead and tighten this up and move all the initiative tokens up. There we go. Okay, so here's our initiatives for turn 29. So let's go ahead and continue on with turn 29. Let's go ahead and move our first player marker back up to the Ancient Spiders, and then have our Saloon Girl hold back the darkness. Alright, we get a 9. So that's good enough because the Hero Posse marker is in the 8+ section. So our Saloon Girl Shauna, she held back the darkness. Way to go, Shauna! Okay, next let's go ahead and activate the models in initiative order. And we'll go ahead and start with the Ancient Spiders way up there. But before we activate the Ancient Spiders, I'm going to go ahead and use some items. Starting off with Yvette, she's going to go ahead and use some bandages. She's going to go ahead and use those to heal up Shauna of some wounds. Okay, she gets a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all of Shauna's wounds. There we go. So Shauna has no more wounds on her. And next, Yvette is going to use her whiskey to heal Shauna of some sanity damage. Alright, she got a 5. So Shauna has 5 sanity damage. So here's 5. So that means that Shauna now has no sanity damage left on her. And then Angela is going to use her bandages to heal Sam of some wounds. Okay, she got a 4. Alright, 3, 4. Okay, so there's the 4 wounds from Sam's hero character sheet. So that's going to leave 2 wounds for Sam. And then Sam is going to go ahead and use her Marshal badge. And it reads, once per adventure, give all heroes +2 shots with a gun or +2 combat they choose during their next activation. And at the bottom it says law only. And this is only available for a hero that has law as a keyword on their hero character sheet. So I'll just go and place it right there so that they remember that they get a +2 shots with a gun or a +2 combat. Okay, so that's it for the items to use. So let's go ahead and continue on with our Ancient Spiders activation. So the Ancient Spiders are going to start by moving, and there's not a lot of movement that they can do except for this one right here. And they're going to go ahead and move up 1 space. And now what's going to happen is that an Ancient Spider, it needs to target a hero. So Sam has 1 Ancient Spider on her, and Angela has 1 Ancient Spider on her. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a die, and on odd, the Ancient Spider is now going to attack Angela. Alright, we got an even. Okay, that means that that new Ancient Spider is going to target Sam. So those 2 Ancient Spiders down below, they're they're going to be doing crisscross attacks. So we got this one, will point that direction, and this one will point that direction. So Ancient Spider on the left attacks the hero on the right, and Ancient Spider on the right attacks the hero on the left. Excellent. Okay, so the new Ancient Spider that came in, it's going to go ahead and attack Sam. It's got 2 combat with a 3+. Ooh, nice. Okay, well, both of them are hits. It did roll a 6, which means that is a Void Bite, where Ancient Spider to hit rolls of 5 or 6 do double damage. So let's have Sam save against that. First die is going to be against the regular attack, a 3+ for the defense roll. Alright, she saves on that one. And then we'll go ahead and roll against the other one, which is the Void Bite. Oh, missed it by 1. She got a 2. Okay, so that would end up being 4 damage. So Sam is going to go ahead and spend a grit to re-roll that. Okay, not much better. It's going downhill. Okay, with that means she's going to end up taking 4 wounds. And that 4 wounds actually took care of the 4 wounds that Angela helped her heal. So she is back up to 6 wounds. Alright, let's go ahead and attack with the other Ancient Spider that's in front of her and to the left diagonally. Well, those are both hits, and they're both regular hits. So let's have Sam save a defense roll with a 3+. Okay, she fails 1 and she makes 1. Let's see, she has 6 on her at the moment. You know, she's not going to spend a grit. I think there's other stuff she could do with the grit. So she's going to end up getting 2 more damage. And that's on top of her 6. So now she has 8 wounds. She does have a total of 13 health. So definitely got to watch out for that. And then the other Ancient Spider that's going to do a crisscross attack with that new Ancient Spider. So that other one's going to attack Angela. Alright, fails 1 and makes the hit. So Angela's going to try and save with a defense roll of 4+. Oh, and a 2. So she didn't make it. She has 1 grit left. So she's going to save that grit for something else. Okay, so here's 2 damage. So Angela is now up to 7 wounds. Okay, that's going to end the Ancient Spider's turn. Next up are the Void Spiders. Alright, the Void Spiders are way there on the left side there with the Stranglers. And the Goliath and the Snow Terror is causing a block there, so they can't get through to the heroes. So that is just going to end up ending their turn. So next up is our Gunslinger Yvette. And at the start of Yvette's activation, she needs to save against those horror hits from the Night Terror, the Snow Terror, and the Goliath. So she needs to save against 7 horror hits. And that's 2 from the Night Terror, 2 from the Snow Terror, and 3 from the Goliath. So she has a willpower save of 4+, so let's see how she does. Alright, see here, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, and a 6. Alright, so 2, 3, and 3 are a failure. So she fails 3. So that means that she's going to go ahead and take 3 sanity damage. And she has a total of 5 sanity damage on her hero character sheet at the moment. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and have her move. Let's see if she can get a grit. And she gets a 4. It's not going to be a grit because she needs a 1 or a 2 in the target plateau to get a grit. So she does not get a grit. So that'll end her movement, and now she'll go ahead and attack. And she's just standing there underneath the shadows of the Goliath. And then that snow tear off to the left. I don't know, it's looking kind of shady, so I think it would be advisable to go ahead and try and take out the snow tear first. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and attack the snow tear. And Yvette is using her pistol that has 2 shots. And then the Marshal badge is going to give her +2 shots. So that's like using her pistol fanning upgrade card. Because at the moment she doesn't have any grit. Okay, so she's going to shoot 4. And she needs a 3+ to hit. Alright, that's pretty good. We have 1 fail and 3 hits. Alright, let's go and see how much damage she's going to do to that snow tear. And the snow tear has a defense of 4, and it still has all of its health, which is 12. Okay, so she gets a 2, 5, and a 6. Well, the defense of 4 is going to take out that 2. That means she's going to get 1 and then 2 damage. Total of 3 damage going through. So the snow tear is now going to have 3 damage on it. Okay, and that's going to end Yvette's turn. And next up is the snow tear. And it did not like that. It had its nice clean white fur on, and now it's bleeding all over it. It's got a bunch of red on it. So the snow tear is going to bring its arms back and start swinging forward at Yvette. And we have 4 combat with melee of 5+. So let's see what it does. Alright, 1, 2, 5, and 6. So there's 2 failures. Get a 5 and a 6, so both those make it. So Yvette's going to have to do a defense roll of 5+. So let's see what she does. Alright, well she makes 1. There's the failure. So she's going to go ahead and roll this one for her armor 4+. Oh! Okay, so she gets a 3. She just missed it by 1 for that armor 4+. So she is going to take a lot of damage. She's going to take 4 damage added to her 3 wounds, and that 4 wounds she just got is a total of 7. So now Yvette has a total of 7 wounds on her. And that's going to end the snow tear's turn. And next up are the stranglers. Alright, the stranglers, they're way off on the left hand side there. And just like the void spiders, they went ahead and actually talked to them and said, hey, let's play a game of volleyball. So they're off just sitting there playing some volleyball while the Goliath and the snow tear take up that space that they can't get through. So that's going to end the Strangler's turn. And next up is going to be the Night Tears. Okay, don't know why the Night Tears turn around, but let's turn back around here. You got someone you want to say hi to. Oh look, it's Sam, the U.S. Marshal. So the Night Terror is going to go ahead and attack Sam. He's got 4 combat with a melee 5+. Alright, we got a 2, 3, 5, and 5. So there's our misses. We get 2 hits. Now Sam has got to do a defense roll of 3+. So let's see what we got here. Oh, double 2s. Interesting. Okay, well, That didn't beat the 3+, so that means she's going to take the hits from that and the damage, but she does have a grit. So she's going to go ahead and spend a grit to go ahead and re-roll both of those dice. Oh, she got snake eyes. Oh, that's not good. Oh no. Alright, that means that she failed at her defense roll. That means she's going to take all that damage. I got 2 hits at 4 damage each. That means that's a total of 8 damage. So here's her 8 damage. And then 8 damage on what she has. And the 12, 13, 14. Oh crap. Alright, that's going to exceed what she has for health. She has a health of 13. That means that she is knocked out. Oh no! Hero down! Hero down! We are down 1 hero. Sam, our U.S. Marshal, is down and out. So the Night Terror was just pissed after getting shot by Sam's shotgun and rips the side bag from Sam and strikes her with it, sending her flying to the ground, motionless. All of the other heroes were too busy to see what happened, but it must have been bad as Sam, our U.S. Marshal, is not moving. The Night Terror smiles an evil grin and then tosses the side bag onto the ground near Sam as some papers and chunks of ice roll out of it. So Sam is KO'd. She's knocked out. So we're going to go ahead and start by removing her model from the map tile. And then just placing it off to the side here. And then we're going to go ahead and place a KO'd hero marker. So here's the female, there's the male side. And we'll go and place it right into her space that she was in. So now any model can stand in or move through her space. Okay, so that's going to end the Night Terror's turn. Next up is Shauna, our saloon girl. So at the start of Shauna's activation, she needs to save against those horror hits from the Night Terror, Snow Terror, and the Goliath. So she needs to save against 7 horror hits. 2 from the Night Terror, 2 from the Snow Terror, and 3 from the Goliath. So Shauna has a willpower save of 4+, so let's see how she does. Alright, so she got a 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Okay, so she fails against 3 of them. So Shauna is going to take 3 sanity damage. And she has none on her at the moment, so she has a total of 3 sanity damage on her. Alright, next up she's going to go ahead and move. Now she's going to go ahead and give up her move so that she can use the specimen jar. And she still has to find that one on the right there, where she's got to look for the fauna. So she needs to do a cunning 5+ test, and she has a cunning of 4. So let's see if she makes it. Uh-oh, 2, 2, 2, and 3. Alright, so she does not make it. So all those little critters on the ground are just running underneath her and all over the place. Alright, well then she needs to still roll for the move, because she might get a grit or possibly that frigid snow effect, that weather effect. Oh, but no, actually she wouldn't get the frigid snow effect because she has the weathered poncho. And at the bottom it reads, ignore weather effects. So she doesn't have to worry about that, but she'll roll for the move to see if she gets a grit. Okay, so she gets a 3, so she's not going to get a grit. So that's going to end her move. And now she's going to go ahead and attack. So Shauna's got a tentacle behind her and a Goliath in front of her. The snow terror is too far from her. And then she makes a comment to Yvette. If you kill that, make sure you cut off its ears so we can bring it back for the bounty. Alright, so Shauna is looking around, trying to analyze, trying to figure out what she wants to do, and she's still undecided, and then she hears Yvette yell over to her, "What are you waiting for? Shoot the big green thing!" Okay, so Shauna is going to go ahead and shoot the Goliath with her holdout pistols. And before she does that, she's going to go ahead and spend a grit. By spending the grit, that's going to use her upgrade Acrobatics Sleight of Hand, where she can use one grit to ready a once per fight item. So she's going to be able to use her holdout pistol again. So she'll use that free attack on the holdout pistol for 1. She'll shoot regularly the holdout pistol for 1, that'll make 2. She'll use the repeating holdout pistol for 2, so that'll make 4. And then she's going to use the Marshal badge, where she's going to get +2 shots, so she's going to get 6. So let's see what she gets here. She needs a range 4+. Alright, so she gets a 1, 1, 1, 4, 5, 5. So she misses 3 times, and she gets 3 hits. Now, if she was using the holdout pistol in just one hand, she would have got 2 criticals here, but she cannot because she's dual wielding her holdout pistols, and because of that, her penalty is she cannot get criticals. Alright, so let's go ahead and roll these 3 and see if she can bypass the Goliath's defense of 3. Oh, nice. Okay, well, she got a 4, 5, and 5. So that's going to be 1, 2, and 2 for a total of 5 damage. Alright, so here's 5 wounds for our Goliath. Alright, nice shooting, Shauna. Nice shooting. Alright, so that's going to end Shauna's turn. Next up is Sam, our U.S. Marshal. And Sam, well, she's just going to lay there. Alright, so Sam got KO'd by the Night Terror. And since she is on the same map tile with enemies, she cannot recover. So either someone's going to have to drag her off the map tile that the enemies are on, or the heroes are going to have to kill all of the enemies that are on the same map tile as the U.S. Marshal is before she can go and recover. So that's going to end the U.S. Marshal's turn. And next up is the Goliath. Alright, well, the Goliath did not like that, getting shot by those little guns of the saloon girls. So the Goliath is going to attack Shauna and Yvette. So it gets 3 combat for 3 damage each and needs a 3+. Alright, 4, 5, and 6. That's 3 hits. And then the Goliath, it doesn't get any kind of critical hits on a 6. So it's just 3 normal hits. So our saloon girl has got to do a defense roll of 3+. Okay, so she gets a 1, 5, and a 6. So she saves on 2 of them. She fails 1. And then she's going to use her acrobatic dodge that once per turn, you may reroll 1 failed defense roll. So let's see what she gets on this fail. And a 5. Alright, way to go there, Shauna. So she saves against all of them and gets no damage. So let's see how Yvette does. Alright, a 2, 4, and a 6. So she's going to get hit twice. So she has to roll a defense roll of 5+. 2 and a 3. Uh-oh. So she fails both of those. But Then she has her armor 4+ to deal with. So let's see if she saves with the armor. I get a 4+. And a 5 and a 6. Excellent. Way to go there, Yvette. So she's not going to take any damage. And with that, that is going to end the Goliath's turn. So next up, we have Angela, our Bandita. Okay, so starting of Angela's activation, she needs to go ahead and save against those horror hits from the Night Terror and the Goliath. She needs to save against 5 horror hits. 2 of them are from the Night Terror and 3 from the Goliath. She has a willpower save of 5+. Let's see how she does. Alright, 1, 2, 5, 5, and 5. Excellent. So she saves 3. She fails 2. So that's going to give her 2 sanity damage. And she has a total of 6 sanity damage on her at the moment. Okay, so she's going to go ahead and do her move. Let's see what she gets. Alright, she got a 1. Alright, well that's good and bad. First thing, she's going to go ahead and get 2 grits for that. And then, okay, well, she already had 1 grit on her hero character sheet. And with these 2, it's going to make 3. And she only can have a maximum of 2 grits on her hero character sheet. So we're going to have to go and just discard one of these. And you might be asking, why did she get 2 grits instead of just 1? Well, in the Shadows of Brimstone City of the Ancients adventure book, on page 7, in the section Global Rules, subsection Frigid Snow Weather, the last sentence of the last paragraph reads, if a hero would normally recover a grit on a move roll of 1 or 2, such as the Bandito with his wildcard ability, or in this case the Bandita with her wildcard ability, they are allowed to recover 2 grit instead. Excellent. Okay, and then also she rolled a 1, which would activate the Frigid Snow effect, the weather effect, where it's 1 automatic wound to a hero with no defense roll, but that's not going to work. Since Angela is wearing a dusty poncho, and on the bottom it reads, ignore weather effects. So, Angela is good there. Okay, so she's going to go ahead and move that 1, and she's going to go ahead and move over to Sam's space. Now, because she's moving, and because she is adjacent to enemies, she's got to go ahead and do what's called an escape test. So with the Tentacles, you can see on their enemy record sheet right here, it says escape 4+. So what I got to do is I have to roll a die, and I got to roll a 4, 5, or 6 in order to beat that escape test. So let's see what she gets. Alright, so she gets a 5, so Angela is able to move. Okay, so she moves 1 space over onto Sam's space, so that she goes ahead and straddles Sam so that she can go ahead and protect her. And then Angela is ready to attack. So the first thing she's going to do is she's going to go ahead and use that Mutation Fangs, where she gets a bite as a free attack. So with Angela straddling Sam to protect Sam from her attacking enemies, Angela licks her lips and fangs of that tentacle blood, and she kind of likes the taste. As she slowly smiles at the tentacle and says, "Hurt my Sam, will ya?" And she attacks with a bite attack. So she has a melee of 4+. And she gets a 4. And then she's going to roll for damage, which is an 8-sider. Alright, so she gets a 6. Alright, so the Tentacles have a defense of 3. So that's going to make 3 on the damage. And the Tentacles have a health of 4. So that means that that tentacle is going to have 1 health left. So here's the 3 damage for that tentacle. Alright, and now what happens is that since Angela attacked an enemy that is a void type enemy, then she's going to get possibly a corruption point. So she needs to go ahead and do a willpower save of 5+. So let's go and see what she gets. Oh, a 2! Alright, she fails that. And let's see, she has 2 grits at the moment, so she's going to go ahead and use a grit to go ahead and re-roll that so she doesn't get that corruption hit turning into a corruption point. He's a 5+. Oh, so close, so close. Alright, so that corruption hit is going to turn into a corruption point, and that means that, well, she's not going to get a corruption point because I don't have any more corruption point tokens left. Yvette has 1 on her, Shauna has 4, that's a total of 5, Sam has 3, so that's a total of 8, then Angela has 4, so that's a total of 12. And you only get 12 corruption point tokens in the game, so all the corruption point tokens are used up. So I'm going to have to go ahead and steal a corruption point token here from Sam, just to show you that. There you go, there's 5 corruption points from Angela. I'll put that corruption point back on Sam's. And with that, Angela is going to mutate. So I'm going to go ahead and roll 2 dice, the 1 red, 1 white. The red is showing the 10's place and the white's showing the 1's place. So let's see what kind of mutation that Angela gets. And I'll go ahead and look in the Shadows of Brimstone City of the Ancients adventure book on pages 58 and 59 for the mutation chart. Alright, she gets void speech. Take a look here. And void speech, and it reads, "You can now understand what void creatures are saying as they hiss and growl. This is unnerving to the extreme, but can give you a leg up in a fight. At the start of each of your activations, if there are any void enemies on your map tile, you are +1 initiative, but you also take 1 sanity damage, ignoring willpower." Alright, well that is Angela's new mutation that can join her Darkstone allergy and fangs. Alright, so that's her free attack, that bite attack. So now she's going to do her regular attack, and she goes ahead and puts her pistol back into her holster, and she's going to go ahead and do a combat attack. So with the tentacles still flailing around, while Angela reaches behind herself and pulls out her hunting knife that is wrapped with a leather cord containing rattlesnake fangs, she also pulls from her side bag a flat item containing 4 connected metal rings connected to a base, in which she inserts her 4 fingers and then clenches them down to form a fist over it. With the top of the curved metal rings exposed above her fingers, she attacks. So Angela has a combat of 3. She gets a +1 combat from the hunting knife. That makes it 4. And then she's going to use the martial badge to get the +2 combat. So she's going to get a total of 6. So let's go ahead and see how many hits she'll get. Okay, so she gets a 1, 1, 4, 5, 5, 6. Excellent. So she gets 4 hits. So let's go ahead and place the hits. And we'll go ahead and put 1 on the tentacle. And then 1 on the ancient spider. And then we'll put these last 2 on the night terror. So let's go ahead and see how much damage she's going to do to the tentacle. Alright, 3. The tentacle has 3 defense, so that's going to wash that out. So she's not going to do any damage to the tentacle. So she does not kill the tentacle. So then she goes and points the hunting knife at the ancient spiders. you're next. So let's see how much damage she does to the Ancient Spider. Nice, 6. Alright, the Ancient Spider's got a defense of 1. So that 6 turns into a 5. And it's got a health of 3. So it definitely is going to kill that Ancient Spider. So Angela drops down and embeds the hunting knife right into the Ancient Spider. And splat, just kills that thing. So then after Angela kills the Ancient Spider, she turns, looks up, and points the hunting knife at the Night Terror. I need a new rug in front of my fireplace. Okay, so Angela is using that hunting knife, and then she also has that rattlesnake fangs, which she attached to the hunting knife. So she's going to be able to get a +3 damage to one of these hits. So we'll go ahead and roll the regular one. And the Night Terrors have a defense of 3. Okay, it's a 4. So with that defense of 3, this is going to be 1 damage that she'll take from that one. Alright, then we got the critical, and that's going to bypass the defense. Okay, she gets 3. So there's 1 from the regular and 3 from the critical ones. That's a total of 4. And then also, as I said, she had that rattlesnake fangs that gives her a +3 damage to one of your hits. So she's going to go ahead and just put it on that critical one. So there's 3 and 3 for 6. That makes 7. So here's 7 damage for the Night Terror. And 2 more for there. From earlier, that makes a total of 9 wounds. And the Night Terror has a health of 12. So 3 more and that Night Terror is going down. Alright, well that is going to end Angela, or Bandita's turn. So next up are the Tentacles. Now, since this tentacle right here was targeting Sam when she was in there, now that she is KO'd, the tentacle is going to go ahead and randomly target a new hero. Alright, and since we have 1 tentacle on Shauna and 1 tentacle on Angela, then since we only can have 1 enemy type on each hero until they can start doubling up, then that means that this tentacle is going to go ahead and just move right over here to attack Yvette. And so the tentacle starts whimpering like a little puppy dog as it scurries away from Angela, trying to kill it. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what our tentacles do. Alright, so the tentacle that is behind Yvette is going to go ahead and attack her first. The tentacles have a combat of 3 with a melee 4+. So let's go ahead and see what that tentacle does. Alright, a 3, 4, and a 5. So the tentacle misses once and hits twice. So let's go ahead and have Yvette go ahead and do a defense roll. And that's going to be a 5+. Oh, not good. Alright, she fails both of them. And she doesn't have any grits, so she can't re-roll those. But she does have her armor 4+. So let's go ahead and re-roll one of them. And she gets a 4. Alright, so she makes this one. And she fails on that one. So she's going to go ahead and take 3 damage. So she's got 3 more wounds on her 7 wounds. That's a total of 10 wounds that she has now. And she has a health of 12. Alright, well she's getting kind of close there, so better watch out there, Yvette. Alright, now our next tentacle is going to go ahead and attack Shauna. Alright, a 2, 4, and a 5. Alright, there's 1 fail and 2 hits. So Shauna's going to go ahead and roll a defense roll of 3+. Alright, she gets a 2 and a 3, so Shauna fails 1, succeeds at 1, and she already used her acrobatic dodge against the Goliath, and she has no grits, so she cannot re-roll. So Shauna is going to go ahead and take 3 damage, and that's the starting of her wounds. So she has 3 wounds on her. Alright, and we got 1 tentacle left, and that's going to be on Angela. Alright, a 2, 3, and a 4. So it misses twice and hits once. And Angela has a defense roll of 4+. And she rolled a 6. Alright, good job there, Angela. Defended against that tentacle as it starts whipping around and trying to hit you. Alright, that's going to end the Tentacles' turn. And that will also end step 2, where the models activate in initiative order. So let's go ahead and move on to step 3, room exploration. And the room's already been explored as the enemies came out to meet our heroes. So let's go ahead and move on to step 4, end of the turn. And if any of our heroes have any kind of cards or abilities that can be used during step 4, they can go ahead and do it now. And Shauna has her comforting presence. So she's going to go ahead and heal up one of Yvette's wounds, since she's almost ready to be knocked out. So with that, Yvette now has 3, 6, 9. She has 9 wounds on her. Alright, and then because Shauna, our Saloon Girl, is adjacent to Yvette, our Gunslinger, and because Yvette has that Mutation Void Plague, Shauna is going to take D3 wounds, ignoring defense. So let's see what happens. Alright, a 5. So that makes it 3. So here's Shauna's 3 damage on her 3 wounds that she has already. Now she has a total of 6 wounds. And she has a health of 14. So she's getting halfway there, so she better watch it also. Alright, well that is going to end step 4 and also turn 29. So let's continue on with turn 30. Now before we continue on with turn 30, it looks like we had an issue last turn where we had 3 attacks against Yvette and her Armor 4+ was performed wrong. This time I did remember to apply her Armor 4+, but for some reason I used her Armor 4+ wrong, as the Armor 4+ is supposed to be used against each damage done, not each hit done. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick backtracking of those 3 attacks on Yvette. Now when Yvette started turn 29, she had 3 wounds on her. And here are those 3 wounds. For the first attack, Yvette was attacked by the Snow Terror, which ended up producing 4 damage. So here are those 4 damage. Yvette only rolled 1 Armor 4+ roll, which failed, so that would have only produced 1 damage out of the 4 damage on her. So here's the 1 damage. And now Yvette has a total of 4 wounds on her. Now Yvette needs to roll 3 more Armor 4+ rolls against those other 3 damage. Alright, we got a 2, 4, and a 6. So she's going to save on 2. So we'll go ahead and remove 2 of them. And then she's going to go ahead and take 1 damage. So now Yvette has a total of 5 wounds on her. For the second attack, Yvette was attacked by the Goliath, which would have produced 6 damage. And here are those 6 damage. Yvette saved on 2 of the Armor 4 Plus rolls, which I ended up negating both of those successful hits, but should have only negated 2 of those 6 damage. So I'll start off by removing those 2 damage. Then I need to roll 4 more Armor 4 Plus rolls to see if Yvette can negate those other 4 damage. Okay, she gets a 3, 3, 4, and a 5. So she's going to save against 2 of them. So I'll remove these 2. And then she's going to go ahead and take 2 more damage. So now Yvette has a total of 7 wounds on her. And then for the third attack, Yvette was attacked by a tentacle, which would have produced 6 damage. So here are those 6 damage. But for some reason, I totally did the whole Armor 4 Plus wrong, as I didn't even roll the second die. I have no idea what I was thinking. So Yvette saved on 1 Armor 4 Plus roll, which I negated 1 of the hits, but should have only negated 1 damage of those 6 damage. So I'll go ahead and remove that 1 damage. Then I'll need to roll 5 more Armor 4 Plus rolls to see if Yvette can negate those other 5 damage. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Alright, way to go there, Yvette. So she's going to go ahead and save 2 of those. And then she's going to take 3 more damage. So now Yvette has a total of 10 wounds on her. Then at the end of turn 29, since Yvette was next to Shauna used her comforting presence on Yvette and healed 1 wound. So we'll go ahead and remove that 1 wound from Yvette. So finally at the end of turn 29, Yvette has a total of 9 wounds on her out of the 12 health that she has. And the 9 wounds is kind of funny, as before the fixing of the Armor 4 Plus mistake, Yvette had ended turn 29 with 9 wounds on her. So she did end up with the same number of wounds, but the whole process was different, as you can see. And now, before continuing on to turn 30, I have a couple of other items. First, as you can see, it looks like we have some major Technicolor here, as all of our enemies are painted up. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these enemies to see what they look like. And the first one up here is the Ancient Spiders. And the Ancient Spiders come from the Targa Plateau, which contains a bunch of snow. So I went ahead and put a bunch of snow on the Ancient Spiders. And then underneath the Ancient Spiders, they got a big mouth, so rah! And then we have the Night Terrors. And then the Tentacles. And then the Snow Terrors. And just like the Ancient Spiders from the Targa Plateau that has snow, and then put some snow on these Snow Terrors. And then we have the Void Spiders. And just like the Ancient Spiders, they have a big mouth underneath, so rah. And then the Stranglers. And finally, our big bad greenie, the Goliath. And if you'd like to, you can go ahead and check out the playlist, Miniature Painting, for the completion of these models. And finally, we have 2 items for some house cleaning. First, we're going to go ahead and remove the Marshal badge, since we used its ability on the hero's next activation, which was last turn. And then second, Shauna has an upgrade card, Acrobatic Dodge. And she used this against the Goliath last turn. And when you use a card, you should do something to identify that it's been used, like turning it sideways. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the card upright to remind me that Shauna can use it this turn. Okay, so now that everything is complete, let's go ahead and continue on with turn 30. So let's go ahead and move our first player marker back up to the Ancient Spiders, and then have our Saloon Girl hold back the darkness. Alright, she got a 9, so Shauna holds back the darkness. Way to go, Shauna! So let's go ahead and continue on with our next step. Step 2, models activate in initiative order. And first up are the Ancient Spiders. For the Ancient Spiders, we're going to start by having these 2 Ancient Spiders on the right side, these 2 on top, that are not targeting any heroes, to target a hero. And it looks like they're both going to have to target Angela due to the fact that these 2 tentacles over here are right in front of our Gunslinger and our Saloon Girl. So the Ancient Spider up top that was targeting Sam before she got KO'd is going to move to the space on the other side of Angela. And then the Ancient Spider to the far right that was not targeting any hero is going to move to the space just above Angela. And now that all of the Ancient Spiders are targeting a hero, well, Angela, they attack. Overall, the 3 Ancient Spiders have 2 combat that does 2 damage each, so they're going to end up doing a total of 6 combat with a melee to hit of 3+. So let's go ahead and see how good these Ancient Spiders do. Okay, so the Ancient Spiders do a 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, and they miss twice. They hit 4 times, and then the 5 has the Ancient Spiders do their ability Void Bite, where Ancient Spider to hit rolls of 5 or 6 do double damage. Ouch. Alright, let's go ahead and roll to see if Angela can defend against those. And she has a defense of 4+. First one, we're going to go against that 5, that ability of Void Bite. Okay, so she gets a 4, so that's going to take that one out. And then we'll go against the other 3. Alright, 1, 2, and 5. So she's going to save against that one. And she's going to fail against those 2. Alright, so the Ancient Spiders hit 2 times for a total of 4 damage on Angela. So Angela now has a total of 11 wounds on her. Okay, well that's going to end the Ancient Spiders' turn. Next up are the Void Spiders. So the Void Spiders are still located on the left side with the Goliath and the Snow Terror blocking them from getting to the heroes. So once again, we'll skip their activation since they can't get to any heroes, and this will end their turn. And next up is going to be the Gunslinger, Yvette. At the start of Yvette's activation, she needs to save against those horror hits from the Night Terror, Snow Terror, and the Goliath. So she needs to save against a total of 7 horror hits. 2 from the Night Terror, 2 from the Snow Terror, and 3 from the Goliath. Yvette has 5 sanity damage on her out of 16, so Yvette's going to possibly take 7 sanity damage. Now, that's not going to knock her out or anything, so let's just see what happens. Yvette has a willpower save of 4+, so let's go ahead and roll those 7 dice. Alright, so with that, she is going to save 4 times, so she's going to end up taking 3 sanity damage. And here are the 3 sanity damage, and that gives a total of 8 sanity damage on Yvette. But that's not going to last too long, as Yvette is going to use that last whiskey token from her cask. So there's her whiskey token. So I'm going to roll 1 die to see how much sanity damage gets removed. And she gets a 4. Alright, so there's 4 sanity damage. And that means that Yvette has 4 sanity damage left on her. Next, Yvette is going to move, but since she is surrounded by enemies and Shauna off on her right side, she's just going to have to stay there. But she'll still need to roll for a grit and the frigid snow effect. So let's see what she gets. Alright, so she gets a 5, so she did not get a grit, and she did not get affected by that frigid snow effect. Now before Yvette attacks, she's going to use that healing stone card that she has. And here's the healing stone card. It's got keywords of artifact and magic, and it reads, once per adventure, heal 2d6 wounds or sanity, any mix from a single hero. And has 1 weight and costs $150. So Yvette is going to use that healing stone on herself. And at the moment, Yvette has a total of 9 wounds on her out of 12 health, and 4 sanity damage on her out of 16. So it seems that she's okay with her sanity damage level. So let's go ahead and roll that 2d6 and deal with her wounds. Alright, so she gets a 9. Okay, so Yvette now has a total of 0 wounds on her out of 12 health, as she went ahead and cleared off all of the wounds that are on her. So there's those 9 wounds that she has, so she is all healed up. Next, Yvette is going to attack. Now, Yvette has no grit on her at the moment, so she is just going to have to use her pistol normally by using its 2 shots. So let's go ahead and attack and see what she does. And she's going to need a 3+ to hit. Alright, so she gets a 5 and a 6, and the 6 is going to be a critical. So which one is she going to shoot at? She's going to have to shoot at a Tentacle, Snow Terror, or the Goliath. So she's going to go ahead and use the normal hit on the Tentacle, and the critical she's going to do on the Snow Terror. So let's go ahead and see how she does against that Tentacle. And the Tentacle has 3 wounds on it at the moment. It has a health of 4, so it has 1 health left. And Tentacle has a defense of 3, so she needs to roll at least a 4 or better to kill it. Oh, 6! Nice shot! The gun goes off, blows that Tentacle apart, and it drops. Alright, way to go there, Yvette. Alright, now on the Snow Terror, got a critical, so it's going to bypass that defense that the Snow Terror has. That's a defense of 4, so let's see how good this happens. Alright, she got a 4. Excellent. Alright, so the Snow Terror has 3 wounds on it at the moment, yeah. So 4 is going to make it a 7. So we'll get a big 5er here. So there's a total of 7 wounds on that Snow Terror. Snow Terror has a health of 12. So it is almost going down. Alright, so that is going to end Yvette's turn. Next up is the Snow Terror. And the Snow Terror did not like that critical, so it's going to counterattack Yvette. The Snow Terror is going to attack with 4 combat at 4 damage each and has a melee to hit of 5+. Alright, so he gets a 3-3 and a 5-5, so it hits twice. Alright, Yvette has a defense of 5+, so let's see if she saves against this Snow Terror. Alright, 4 and a 6, so she saves against the Snow Terror's attack on one of them, and then that other hit that went through was going to cause 4 damage, so she's going to use her armor 4+ to see if she can stop that damage that comes through. Alright, 2-2 and a 5-5, so she saves twice, and she fails 2 times, so Yvette is going to end up taking 2 damage. So now she's got more wounds back on her. She's got 2 wounds on her. Okay, so that's going to end the Snow Terror's turn. Next up, we have the Stranglers. And just like the Void Spiders, the Stranglers are also located on the left side, with the Goliath and the Snow Terror between them and the heroes. So once again, we'll skip their activation since they can't get to any heroes, and this will end their turn. And next up is going to be the Night Terror. And the Night Terror sees Angela guarding a downed hero and smiles at her and attacks. Night Terror attacks with 4 combat, doing 4 damage each, and has a melee to hit of 5+. Alright, gets a 1, 3, 5, and a 6, so it hits twice. Doesn't get a critical for that 6. So Angela has a defense of 4. So let's see if she saves against that 5 and 6. Alright, 2 and a 6. So she saves against 1. So the Night Terror hits 1 time for a total of 4 damage on Angela. Alright, so Angela now has 15 wounds out of 18 health, so 3 more, so she's getting kind of close there. Alright, so this is going to end the Night Terror's turn. And next up, we have our Saloon Girl, Shauna. At the start of the Saloon Girl's activation, Shauna needs to save against those horror hits from the Night Terror, Snow Terror, and the Goliath. So she needs to save against 7 horror hits. 2 from the Night Terror, 2 from the Snow Terror, and 3 from the Goliath. Shauna has 3 sanity damage on her out of 14, so Shauna might take 7 sanity damage. Though that's not enough to knock her out, let's see how close she's going to get. Shauna has a willpower save of 4+, so let's go ahead and roll those 7 dice to see what happens. Alright, so she gets a 1, 2, 2, and then 4, 5, 5, 6. So she's going to go ahead and fail 3 of them. So Shauna is going to take 3 sanity damage, and she has a total of 6 sanity damage on her now. Next, Shauna is going to roll for her move, but since she is surrounded by enemies and Yvette is off on her left side, she's just going to have to stay there. But there are 2 issues to deal with first. The first move issue is Shauna's going to give up her move to use the specimen jar to gather some fauna. And here's the specimen jar paper. Give up your move to try and find a sample of the local flora or fauna, and she has to do a cunning 5+ test. Alright. She has a cunning of 4. So let's see if she's able to get that fauna. Alright, so she gets a 2, 3, 6, and 6. So she succeeds at that. Okay, now that Shauna does succeed, 2 things are going to happen. First is while the Goliath is moving around with its mouth tentacles flailing about, Shauna looks down and sees a grouping of 6 mice-like critters. Some with double heads, some with double tails, and all of them with glowing purple eyes, hurrying along the wall. So Shauna quickly drops to a knee and places the specimen jar's opening in their path, and watches as all 6 of those critters enter the specimen jar. She then quickly caps the specimen jar, stands, and returns to try and take something down this turn. So I went ahead and marked off the specimen jars, so they found the flora and they found the fauna. Second is on the looking glass card that Shauna has, and it reads, recover 1 grit anytime you pass a cunning test. Limit once per turn. Alright, so since Shauna just succeeded with the cunning test, she gets to recover 1 grit. And then the second move issue is, even though Shauna didn't move, she still needs to roll to see if she gets a grit and the frigid snow effect. Alright, so she gets a 4, so she does not get a grit, and also she's not affected by that frigid snow effect. Now, even if she did roll that 1 or 2, remember she is wearing that weathered poncho, and on it it's going to read, ignore weather effects. Okay, next Shauna is going to attack, and Shauna begins flipping that metal contraption on her right arm around and around, but it doesn't seem to want to operate correctly. Shauna then remembers that she felt that she really didn't do that good on hitting and damage when she attacked last time with that contraption and the extra shots from the Marshal badge. Or maybe it could have been from her new mutation, eye grown over, with her not used to her left eye being grown over with gnarled flesh like that. And because it takes a grit to operate that metal contraption correctly, i.e. Shauna would be able to use the holdout pistol's free attack once per fight again, so to be on the safe side this time, Shauna is just going to go ahead and keep that grit that she got from succeeding in that cunning test for later. So Shauna then thinks, what can give a bigger bang for its buck instead? She then looks over towards Yvette and says, here, let me help you out. Shauna pulls out some dynamite from her side bag and notices that it's inscribed with the letters CM. She then quickly says, oops, not today. You're meant for someone special. So Shauna quickly stuffs that dynamite back into her side bag and pulls out a different dynamite. Lights it up and tosses it right behind the snow tear, right on top of that void spider right there. So this way, the dynamite could possibly take out 6 enemies. To attack with the dynamite, there is a dynamite reference card. It's a dynamite token, and it says to discard to throw as a ranged attack. The range is the strength of the hero +3, and then if missed to hit, roll bounces D3 times before exploding. See bouncing diagram on reverse side. And then the exploding dynamite, models in the target space and adjacent take D6 wounds each, ignoring defense. Alright, then on the other side is the bounce diagram. And you can go ahead and you can just place it down any direction you want. So as long as the squares are going to match up, don't want to go at a diagonal or anything like that. And then it says, if the hit roll misses, dynamite will bounce D3 times. For each bounce, roll a D8 for direction and move the dynamite one space. If dynamite would move into a wall, instead cancel that bounce. Okay, so it's still going to count as a bounce. It just bounces off the wall and then bounces back into the same space. Okay, so the range that Shauna can throw the dynamite is her strength, which is 2, plus 3 is 5, and there's only 2 spaces to that void spider. So she can throw it there, no problem. She has a range of 4 plus, so let's see if she is able to get that dynamite to stick in that square right on top of that void spider. Oh, 3. Okay, so she misses it by 1. And you know what? Shauna's going to go ahead and use that grit that she just got from her cunning test. And she's going to go ahead and re-roll her range attack with that dynamite to see if she can actually get that thing to stick right there. She doesn't want that dynamite bouncing around and coming back at them and blowing them up. Oh, and a 2. Okay, well, she fails it again, so that means now that the dynamite is going to bounce. So let's go ahead and just take the dynamite reference card, and we'll go ahead and we'll put the bounce diagram just like that. And the dynamite is going to bounce D3 times. So let's see how many times this dynamite bounces. Alright, 3. So on a D3 that is actually 2 times. So now we're going to roll a D8 to see which direction this dynamite is going to bounce. Alright, a 2. So that means that the dynamite is going to bounce directly away from the void spider. So the void spider in the space that the dynamite landed in kicks it with its legs, and the dynamite bounces upwards towards the back of the Goliath. Alright, now that's the first bounce, and now let's go ahead and roll for the second bounce. Alright, got an 8. So that means that now the dynamite is going to bounce to the left, and it's going to go directly at that strangler. Then the Goliath sees the dynamite coming towards it and flicks its head back, and one of the flailing tentacles from its mouth hits the dynamite, and the dynamite gets flung backwards into the chest of the strangler and then falls to the ground. And then, kaboom! Alright, so every model in that space and adjacent to that space is going to take D6 damage, ignoring defense, and the damage is going to be rolled for each model separately. So the first one is the strangler that is in that space. Stranglers have a health of 3, they have a defense of 2, but that defense ain't going to work with dynamite, so let's see what happens to that strangler. Boom! 5! Oh, that strangler just explodes. Alright, and then we'll go to the strangler that's down and adjacent to it. Oh, and it just made it! So, a little bit of shrapnel, a little bit of explosion, and then this strangler, boom, goes flying. Alright, then from there, we have the void spider to the left of that first strangler. And we'll see what happens to that one. Oh, and we get a 2. We bypassed the defense of 1 from those Void Spiders. They have a health of 3, so that means that that Void Spider is going to get 2 damage on it, and it's still going to have 1 health left. Alright, so then we're going to go against the Void Spider that is to the bottom and to the right. That's just underneath that Goliath's right tentacle arm. Oh, and boom! That thing gets blown apart. And there's 5 out of the 3 health that it has, so we got Void Spider shrapnel going all over the place onto the back of that Snow Terror. Let's go and get that Void Spider out of here. Okay, and so the last one is going to be the Goliath. So let's see how much damage that dynamite does to the back of the Goliath. Alright, a 3. So some medium damage there. So here's 3 more damage to the Goliath. Now the Goliath has 8 wounds on it out of health of 24. So still a ways to go there, heroes, so keep at it. And here's a note regarding the D6 damage that was just done to the Goliath. On the dynamite reference card, the definition of exploding dynamite reads, models in the target space and adjacent take D6 wounds each, ignoring defense. Now, if you didn't notice, both the 2 back spaces of the Goliath were located in the dynamite's adjacent spaces. And since the 2 back spaces of the Goliath were in the dynamite's adjacent spaces, you would think that the Goliath should have taken 2d6 worth of damage, ignoring defense, per the exploding dynamite definition, instead of only taking that d6 damage, ignoring defense. But in the rulebook on page 28, in the section Advanced Rules, subsection Extra Large Enemies, and its subsection Area Effect and Extra Large Bases, it reads, even though an extra large enemy takes up multiple spaces on the board, they are only ever affected once by weapons and abilities that target an area, like dynamite for instance. Even if the explosion would cover 2 or more spaces that the enemy base is in, the enemy is still only affected by it once. So, in this case with the Goliath, that is why the Goliath only took d6 damage, ignoring defense, instead of that 2d6 damage, ignoring defense. Alright, so that's going to do it for all those enemies that got blown up or damaged by that dynamite, and that will end Shauna's turn. Next up is the U.S. Marshal, Sam. Well, Sam is still KO'd from the Night Terror, and since she is still on a map tile that contains enemies, she can't recover. So to recover, Sam is just going to have to lay there until someone drags her to a map tile that doesn't contain any enemies, or all of the enemies that are on the same map tile that Sam is located on are killed, which is a total of 6 enemies. Okay, so that's going to end Sam's turn. And then next up is the big bad greenie, the Goliath. Okay, startled and slightly hurt by the explosion from behind, the Goliath rears its head back and then leans forward and begins flailing its tentacles around in front of itself. So the Goliath is going to attack with its flailing tentacles, and they're going to reach out 3 spaces, possibly hitting the Saloon Girl and the Gunslinger, who are adjacent to the Goliath, and barely missing the Bandita, who is 4 spaces away. So let's go ahead and see what happens first between the Goliath and the Saloon Girl. The Goliath's going to attack with 3 combat. That's going to do 3 damage each, and has a melee to hit of 3+. Okay, so the Goliath hits 2 times. So then Shauna's going to go ahead and do a defense roll of 3+. Alright, so she saves against one of them. So then Shauna's going to use her upgrade Acrobatic Dodge, where she can reroll one failed defense roll to try and save against that hit that just failed. So Shauna's got that defense of 3+. And she makes it! Alright, way to go there, Shauna! So the Goliath misses all 3 attacks on Shauna with its flailing tentacles. Then while the flailing tentacles were slashing at the Saloon Girl, let's see if Yvette, our gunslinger, got caught in any of those cross slashes. So the Goliath's going to attack with those 3 combat. That's going to do 3 damage each. Melee to hit of 3+. Alright, so the Goliath hits 2 times. And then Yvette's going to go ahead and do a defense roll of 5+. Alright, so she's going to make 1. So the Goliath hits 1 time for a total of 3 damage on Yvette. So then Yvette's going to go ahead and do her armor 4+ save against those 3 damage. Okay, so she saves on one of them. So that means that the Goliath is going to do 2 damage on Yvette. And here's the 2 damage. That means that Yvette now has a total of 4 wounds on her. Well, that's going to end the Goliath's turn. And finally, our last hero is up. Our bandita, Angela. At the start of Angela's activation, she'll need to do 2 things first. First, because there are void enemies on Angela's map tile, the Tentacles and the Ancient Spiders, her new mutation, Void Speech, is going to take effect. So Angela starts to hear hissing and growling sounds and notices that she can understand what the Tentacles and Ancient Spiders are saying. Now, though those sounds are unnerving, Angela is collecting some good information that might help her and give her a leg up in this fight. So because of that, 2 things are going to happen. First, Angela's initiative is going to move from a 3 to a 4, which puts her ahead of the Goliath now. And then because of that, I'm going to go ahead and put this piece of paper underneath Angela's token there, showing a +1 initiative because of Void Speech. And then second, she's going to take 1 sanity damage with no willpower save. So Angela now has 7 sanity damage on her. And then second, at the start of Angela's activation, she needs to save against those horror hits from the Night Terror and the Goliath. So she needs to save against 5 horror hits, 2 from the Night Terror and 3 from the Goliath. Now Angela has 7 sanity damage on her out of 10, and Angela is going to possibly take 5 sanity damage, which is going to put her over her allowed sanity damage limit by 2, which will KO her. Angela has a willpower save of 5+, so let's go ahead and roll those 5 dice to see if she gets KO'd or not. Alright, and Angela saves 1 time, so she goes and fails 4 times. So she's going to take 4 sanity damage. So that means that Angela now has a total of 11 sanity damage out of 10. And this would KO her, but Angela's going to use her grit to re-roll those 4 dice from her failed willpower save. So Angela has that willpower save of 5+, so let's re-roll those 4 dice to see if she makes it or KOs it. Alright, so she saves 2 more times, and she fails twice. So that is a total of 3 saves out of the 5 sanity damage that was going to happen. So Angela ends up only taking 2 sanity damage. So now Angela has a total of 9 sanity damage out of 10. Phew, so close, Angela, so close. Next, Angela is going to move, but before Angela moves, she pulls from her side bag a tonic token and swigs it down, and with that, Angela is going to recover 1 grit. So now Angela has 1 grit on her hero character sheet. Okay, so Angela then bends down and picks up Sam to move her off of the map tile that contains enemies so that Sam can recover. So to move another hero who has been KO'd, in the rulebook on page 29 in the section Helping a KO'd Hero, subsection Dragging a KO'd Hero, it says that you need to spend an extra movement point for each space you want to move to. So instead of spending 1 point per space, you have to spend 2 points per space. So Angela has to move 3 spaces in order to get Sam off of the map tile that the enemies are on. So Angela is going to have to roll a 6 for her move. But first, Angela is going to have to make an escape test so that she can get past all of these enemies that are adjacent to her. The ancient spiders have an escape test of 4+, the tentacles have an escape test of 4+, and the night terrors have an escape test of 3+. So Angela's going to have to roll at least a 4+ for the escape test so that she can move past all of these enemies. Alright, so Angela rolls a 3, and though she passes the Night Terror's escape test of 3+, she fails the Ancient Spiders and the Tentacles escape test of 4+, so she'll not be able to move. So as Angela starts to move, the tentacle in the back flings its tentacle towards Angela's trailing leg and wraps it around her ankle, holding Angela in place. Alright, now here's the dilemma, where Angela only has 1 grit remaining. So she can either use it to re-roll this escape test, and then if she succeeds, she'll need to roll a 6 for a move to carry Sam off of that map tile with those enemies on it. Or she can not try to escape and use that grit for another time. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and have Angela save that grit for another time. Okay, since Angela cannot move because of failing that escape test, she still needs to roll to see if she gets a grit and the frigid snow effect. Okay, so Angela rolls a 4, so she does not get a grit and also is not affected by that frigid snow effect. Now, even if she did roll that 1 or a 2 to be affected by that frigid snow effect, she would not be affected as she is wearing that dusty poncho. And on the dusty poncho card it reads, ignore weather effects. Okay, next Angela is going to attack. So with Angela unable to escape with Sam, while remaining in Sam's space, Angela flicks her leg and snaps loose the tentacle from her ankle. Angela then softly places Sam back on the ground and straddles over Sam again to protect her. Angela then begins to get frustrated, a little bit more than jittery from being surrounded by those ancient spiders, and goes ballistic, using her upgrade, Brawling, swinging fists to take down as many enemies as she can surrounding her. Where in place of her normal melee attack, she's going to spend 1 grit to do a 3 combat melee attack to every adjacent model, which could be 5 enemies. Now luckily Sam is KO'd. Otherwise, since Sam was adjacent to Angela, Angela would have attacked Sam also and could have possibly hurt Sam. Just like Angela did to Shauna back in that one room in the mine where Angela did this same upgrade, Brawling, swinging fists on Shauna, hitting her, KOing her, and putting her into the wall. So Angela is going to start her attack on the Ancient Spiders, and she has a melee to hit of 4+. So she's going to go ahead and attack that Ancient Spider on the right side. Alright, so she hits the Ancient Spider one time. And let's go and see how much damage she's going to do to it. Alright, so she does 3 damage to it. But the Ancient Spider has a defense of 1, so that's going to be 2 damage. So here's the Ancient Spider's 2 damage. So the Ancient Spider now has 2 wounds on it. And let's go ahead and attack the Ancient Spider just above Angela. Oh, whoa! Got a regular hit and a critical. So there's 1 fail. Let's see what she does for damage. Oh, she gets a 1. Alright, well the defense of 1 is going to take that one out. And then she's got the 6, which is a critical. And 3. Alright, so that's enough because the Ancient Spiders have a health of 3. So that Ancient Spider is gone. And then we'll go ahead and attack that Ancient Spider on the left side. Oh, another critical. 2 misses and a critical. Let's see what she gets. Oh, bam! Oh, that Ancient Spider is gone. Alright, does 5 damage to that, but it's a critical, so it bypasses that 1 defense. And that critical takes out this Ancient Spider. Alright, next Angela is going to attack the Tentacle. Alright, so she misses once, and she's going to hit twice, and she gets a critical. So let's see, the Tentacle has a defense of 3 and a health of 4. So let's see what kind of damage she does with the regular hit. Alright, she's a 5. So that's going to be 5 minus 3 because of the defense. So that's 2 damage. And she's got the critical. So let's see what she gets for the critical. Oh! And a 6. So there's 6 damage. And then she's got 2 damage on this one. That's a total of 8 damage. Oh, that is going to hurt. Oh, so Angela goes ballistic and kicks, punches, slashes with her hunting knife, and strikes hard with her knuckle dusters. And she drops this Tentacle down. All right. And then last, Angela is going to attack the Night Terror. Angela looks at that Night Terror, the one that knocked out her Sam, and attacks it. Oh, she just barely gets it, but she does hit once. So there's 2 fails and 1 hit. So let's go and see how much damage she's going to do. Alright, so she gets 4 damage. And the Night Terror has a defense of 3. So that means that the Night Terror is only going to take 1 damage. Alright, so that means the Night Terror has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the Night Terror now has a total of 10 wounds on it out of its 12 health. Oh, so close, Angela, so close. As the Night Terror is wobbly, swaying back and forth with its 2 health remaining. But then Angela remembers one chance she has as she licks her tongue over one of her large, sharp fangs. And Angela is going to use her mutation fangs, which gives her a bite as a free attack. So Angela attacks. Alright, so she does hit the Night Terror. And this is going to do a D8 worth of damage. Alright, she gets 6. That's 6 damage. Nice. Okay, but the Night Terror has a defense of 3, so 6 minus 3 is 3 damage. So the Night Terror now has a total of 13 wounds on it out of 12 health, and the Night Terror drops. Now, because Angela did a wound on the Night Terror using her mutation fangs, if the Night Terror was a void enemy, Angela would have taken a corruption hit. But since the Night Terror is a demon, the taste of the bite was a bit different. So Angela has no worries about taking a corruption hit. So Angela sees that the Night Terror is almost dead, and she leaps on the Night Terror and sinks her large, sharp fangs into the big furry creature's neck and rips out a chunk, and then holds on as the Night Terror drops to the ground and its life leaves its body. With the Night Terror dead, Angela spits out the chunk she just took out of the Night Terror and pushes herself off of the downed Night Terror, returns to Sam, and then yells over to Yvette and Shauna. Alright, well that's going to end Angela's turn. And finally, our last enemy is up. Last in the initiative order is the Tentacle. So the Tentacle is going to attack Shauna. And the Tentacle attacks with 3 combat with 3 damage each and a melee to hit of 4+. Okay, so the Tentacle hits twice, and it did roll a 6, which is going to activate the Tentacle's ability called Smash. So the 3 damage from that hit is going to bypass Shauna's defense. So I get the fail, regular hit, and then there's that special ability Smash. So Shauna has a defense of 3+, so let's see if she makes it against that regular hit. Alright, so she makes it, and the Tentacle hits 1 time for a total of 3 damage on Shauna. And now Shauna has 9 wounds on her. Okay, so that's going to end the Tentacle's turn. And that'll also end step 2, where the model's activated in initiative order. So let's go ahead and move on to step 3, room exploration. And the room's already been explored, as you can see, as some of those enemies are still attacking our heroes. Poor stranglers and void spiders, they'll get up there someday. So that's going to end step 3. So then let's go ahead and move on to step 4, end of the turn. And if any of our heroes have any kind of cards, abilities, or conditions, we'll go ahead and do them now. Shauna has that ability, Comforting Presence, so since Yvette is next to Shauna, Shauna's going to heal up one of Yvette's wounds. So Yvette now has 3 wounds on her. And then Yvette has that mutation Void Plague, and since Shauna is adjacent to Yvette, those wisps of black and dark purple vapors continue to emerge from those darkened patches on Yvette's skin and land on Shauna. So Shauna will automatically take D3 wounds, ignoring defense from them. Alright, she gets a 4, which is a 2 on a D3. So Shauna's going to go ahead and take 2 damage. And Shauna now has 11 wounds on her out of 14. Alright, so that's going to end step 4 and turn 30. So let's go ahead and continue on with turn 31. So before we start turn 31, before Shauna got smashed by that tentacle, Yvette and Shauna heard Angela yelling from behind them. "Screw this! This mission isn't worth the life of my Sam. You got your items. We are out of here." Yvette and Shauna then see Angela bend down, picks up and cradles Sam, slowly backs away from that injured ancient spider, and begins to move towards the cryo chamber room. So after Shauna finishes getting smashed by that tentacle, And after step 3 and step 4, Yvette and Shauna then turn to look at each other, nod their heads in agreement as they mutter simultaneously, "Portal," as they slowly begin to back away and follow Angela's lead, fleeing towards the portal in the cryo chamber room. So with that, our heroes have decided to flee, and what that means is that our heroes are going to fail the mission. In the City of the Ancients adventure book on page 20, in the mission Basic Mission 1, for a few Darkstone more, in the section Failure, it reads, "If the heroes fail the mission, the darkness escapes the mines and wreaks havoc on the countryside and the neighboring towns. When the heroes travel to a frontier town before the next adventure, D3 random buildings there will have been destroyed by the escaping darkness." So when our heroes are about to enter the frontier town Morganville, that is when I'll go ahead and see which D3 random buildings have been destroyed. But till then, let's get our heroes out of here. So with the mission failed, due to all of the non-KO'd heroes agreeing to flee at the start of turn 31, the heroes are going to go ahead and leave the target plateau, and they will now be traveling to town. The information for traveling to town can be found in the City of the Ancients adventure book on page 36 in the section Traveling to Town. And since our heroes are going to be fleeing, let's go ahead and lay out the rooms that our heroes explored while in the Targa Plateau. So here are the 4 map tiles in the Targa Plateau that our heroes are ready to flee from, and also that Mines map tile that is located on the other side of that portal. Now one thing you might notice is that this area right here, it has an issue with part of the Furnaces map tile overlapping the Cryo Chambers map tile. And per the rule book on page 12 in the section Looking Through a Door, it reads, "If the new map tile cannot be placed because it would overlap an existing map tile, if it doesn't fit, discard it and draw a new map card." So as you can see, the Furnaces map tile by itself is overlapping the Cryo Chambers map tile, as well as the Gates end cap. Then, when you add on the Furnaces end cap, it overlaps it even more. Now, sometimes when playing Shadows of Brimstone, space is an issue, and players would sometimes only place 2 to 3 map tiles on the table at a time, as you saw me doing. So if you end up placing the map tiles this way, like I did, only placing 2 to 3 map tiles at a time, then per the rule book, you're not physically overlapping any map tiles. So because of that, that rule is not going to apply in this situation. It would only apply in the situation when you place all of the map tiles out onto the table and can physically overlap them. Plus, if you only place those 2 to 3 map tiles at a time, you're not even going to know if you even overlapped any map tiles. Now because you're only placing 2 to 3 map tiles at a time, you could think of it like this, i.e. the rooms or passages are either ascending or descending, so the overlapping map tile would actually be above or below the other map tile. So in this case, the Furnaces map tile is located above the Cryo Chambers map tile. So now with the Furnaces map tile located above the Cryo Chambers map tile, let's go ahead and change the location of the Furnaces map tile so that it's below the Cryo Chambers map tile, so that our heroes can use the portal to flee the Targa Plateau. Okay, so from here, Angela, with only carrying Sam, as she has left behind Sam's side bag, those papers, and chunks of ice on the ground, makes their way out of the T-junction passage, through the cryo chamber, and to the portal, transporting them both back to the mine. Meanwhile, following from further in the T-junction passage, Yvette and Shauna make their way towards the portal. As Yvette leads the way, Shauna follows but then stops and turns, spotting Sam's belongings scattered on the ground while Yvette continues on through the cryo chamber and to the portal, transporting her back to the mine. With Yvette gone through the portal, Shauna approaches all of the items that flew from Sam's side bag. She then notices a severely injured ancient spider on the opposite side of Sam's items and stomps her foot at it with a psst, and the ancient spider limps away. Shauna then crouches, and while stuffing all the items that flew from Sam's side bag back into it, something on the last piece of paper catches her eye. Shauna then stands and makes her way out of the T-junction passage, all the while quickly scanning the last piece of paper that she picked up. Her face turns stern. With Shauna at the portal, she finishes reading the paper. Shauna then crumples the paper in a tightly clenched fist, stuffs it into her side bag, and while stepping into the portal, she mutters, "You have got to be kidding me, you bitches." After Shauna finishes her sentence after passing through the portal, her body convulses and she tosses Sam's side bag forward as she then quickly crosses her arms over her belly, doubles over, and lands on the ground, trying to control the intensity of the pain that just snuck up on her. While Shauna is in pain on the ground, Yvette runs over to her to lend any type of comfort to her sister, knowing that her mutation, void infection, has just activated. So sure enough, what's happening is Shauna's mutation, void infection, is activating since she just walked through a portal. So Shauna is going to get a corruption point, ignoring willpower. And with that, that is going to make 5 corruption points on Shauna, which means that Shauna is going to mutate. So here are those 5 corruption points for Shauna's mutation. And in the City of the Ancients adventure book on pages 58 and 59, you can find the mutation chart. So let's go ahead and roll a D36, where I'll use a red and white die. The red die to represent the tens place and the white die to represent the ones place, to see what kind of mutation Shauna gets. Alright, she gets a 41. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Alright, in the upper left hand corner, we have 41, which is horns. You sprout horns from the top of your head, you can no longer use clothing, hat items. Alright. So then the pain finally subsides, and Shauna starts feeling over her body, and when she runs her hands through her hair, she feels horns on top of her head. She starts to caress them lovingly and accepting them, and then she jumps up, happy, smiling, giggling, and starts to twirl about. "I look good! So good! Whee!" Shauna states as she twirls about, but then quickly stops as she hears Sam scream. So at this moment, we'll start off the traveling to town section with its subsection, ending an adventure. Now before the heroes regroup outside the mine and continue back to town with the preparing to travel subsection, they have to roll for Darkstone corruption and deal with any other elements that occur at the end of an adventure. So the first thing we're going to deal with are those other elements before we roll for Darkstone corruption. And there are 2 elements to deal with. The first element is While Yvette ran over to lend any type of comfort to her sister from the pain that the mutation is producing, Angela, who is standing next to Sam, who is sitting on the ground, finishes up with helping Sam recover from being KO'd. And because Sam was KO'd due to wounds, she's going to get an injury and has to roll on the injury chart. So here is the injury chart that Sam's going to have to roll on to see what kind of injury she got because of those wounds. And if she would have been KO'd because of sanity damage, then she would have rolled on the madness chart. Okay, so Sam's going to need to roll 2d6 and consult the injury chart to see what has happened to her. Okay, so Sam got a 4, so let's go ahead and consult the injury chart to see what the Night Terror had did that KO'd Sam. So number 4 is mangled hand. One of your hands is twisted and broken. It's hard to even hold anything in it. You have one less hand for equipping items each turn. Two-handed weapons may still be used, but they cannot get critical hits. Okay, well that's going to hurt since Sam uses her shotgun and her hunting rifle, which are two-handed weapons. So hopefully the doc can fix her up when she gets back to town. Okay, so what had happened was the Night Terror was just pissed after getting shot by Sam's shotgun and ripped the side bag from Sam and brought it down at her, and Sam went ahead and put her right hand up to protect herself as the side bag that had chunks of ice in it hit her hand, twisting and breaking it, sending her flying to the ground, motionless. Now with Sam's injury attended to, Sam spots her side bag that Shauna had tossed forward when she convulsed in pain and points to it, telling Angela to quickly get it. So Angela quickly moves over and grabs Sam's side bag and returns it to Sam, dropping it down next to Sam on the ground. Then the second element is to deal with the frozen isopod that Sam has in her side bag. And here is the frozen isopod card, and it reads, at the end of each adventure, roll a d6. On the roll of 1, the isopod thaws and wakes up, attacking you. Discard and make a Strength 5 plus test. If failed, roll once on the injury table. Alright, so let's go ahead and roll a d6 to see if the isopod thaws out, wakes up, and attacks Sam. Okay, so I rolled a 1. So at this point, the frozen isopod will thaw out enough to wake up, break out of the remaining ice, and then attack Sam. So while Sam and Angela watch Shauna jump up and start to twirl about, they both catch movement from Sam's side bag. A slight bump in the side bag gets bigger as it moves towards the opening. As it pushes out of the opening, Angela squeals in excitement. Ice block! Cute! But not that cute, as the frozen isopod lunges at Sam and attacks. Sam screams from being surprised, recoils and knocks Angela back, all the while catching the now unfrozen isopod in mid-flight and struggles with it. So Sam is going to have to perform a Strength 5 plus test, and Sam has a 3 strength, so let's go ahead and roll 3d6 to see what happens. Okay, a 1, 2, and a 3, so Sam fails her Strength 5 plus test. So now Sam is going to use her last grit to re-roll that failed Strength 5 plus test. Alright, a 1, 4, and a 4. Alright, now it looks like Sam fails again. So Sam cannot fend off the frozen isopod and has to roll on the injury chart. Oh great, another injury. Sam just woke up after being KO'd, obtains an injury, and now she gets another injury from some strange looking foot-long creature. Okay, well let's roll that 2d6 and see what kind of injury that foot-long frozen isopod can produce on Sam. Alright, so Sam got a 6, so let's consult the injury chart to see what that frozen isopod did. So number 6 is slashed leg. A deep and painful cut runs across your leg, making it hard to stand, let alone to walk. You are -1 move, minimum of 1. So it looks like while Sam is trying to fight that frozen isopod, she's having trouble holding on to it due to her mangled hand. And eventually the frozen isopod drops down onto Sam and slashes her right leg, producing a deep and painful cut running across her leg. Now after the frozen isopod has done its damage, Sam gets a hold of the frozen isopod again and throws it off towards Angela. The frozen isopod lands next to Angela, who then plunges her hunting knife into its midsection, rendering it lifeless. Alright, so let's go ahead and discard that frozen isopod card. And as you can see, the frozen isopod card gave Sam a +1 lore and a +1 max grit. So I'm going to go ahead and decrease Sam's lore from a 2 to a 1 and decrease Sam's max grit from a 4 to a 3. So here's Sam's hero character sheet showing a lore of 1 and a max grit of 3. And now that all of the other elements have been dealt with, the last part of the Ending an Adventure subsection happens, the rolling of the Darkstone Corruption. So for each of our heroes, we're going to go ahead and roll a d6 for each Darkstone and Darkstone item that they are carrying. And first up is our gunslinger, Yvette. Yvette has 4 Darkstone, 0 Darkstone items, and 1 corruption point. So it looks like if Yvette rolls really bad, she's going to mutate. So we're going to roll 4d6 to see how many 1, 2, or 3s show up to convert those Darkstone into corruption hits. Okay, so we have 2 of those 1, 2, or 3s that showed up. So Yvette now has 2 corruption hits. Now since Yvette obtained some corruption hits, she's going to have to perform a willpower save of 4+ to see if she can stop any of those corruption hits from converting into corruption points. Okay, so Yvette fails 1 and saves against 1. So 1 corruption hit is going to turn into a corruption point. And now Yvette has a total of 2 corruption points. And I'll go ahead and put these on Yvette's hero character sheet. So that will end Yvette's situation with those Darkstone. Next up, we have our saloon girl, Shauna. Alright, this is going to be a mess. Shauna has 9 Darkstone, 0 Darkstone items, and 0 corruption points. Now, I don't know, but not looking too good there for Shauna with those 9 Darkstone. So she'll have to roll 9d6 to see how many 1, 2, or 3s show up to convert those Darkstone into corruption hits. Now, since I don't have 9 white dice to use, since I'm using white dice for the heroes and red dice for the enemies, I'm going to go ahead and roll a set of 4 dice and then a set of 5 dice. So I'm going to go ahead and separate these Darkstone. In a group of 4 and a group of 5. So let's go ahead and roll 4d6 for that first group of 4 Darkstone to see how many 1, 2, or 3 show up. Okay, so we have 2 of these 1, 2, or 3s. So Shauna now has 2 corruption hits. And then let's finish up by rolling 5d6 for that second group of 5 Darkstone to see how many 1, 2, or 3s show up. Alright, so we have 4 more of those 1, 2, or 3s. So Shauna now has 4 more corruption hits. So now we have a total of 6 of those 1, 2, or 3s that showed up. So Shauna now has 6 corruption hits. Now at this moment is when Shauna would perform a willpower save of 4+ to see if she can stop any of those corruption hits from converting into corruption points. But remember what she did during the resolving of the Growing Dread card, Void Surge, is that she did not perform a willpower save, because in the rulebook it reads, willpower saves may be used to prevent these corruption hits as normal. So with that, Shauna is going to bypass performing a willpower save against those 6 corruption hits and have them turn into 6 corruption points. Now once again, Shauna remembers that the saving of the corruption hits is actually sickening, the feeling of starving one's body of food. Though not a feeling of addiction and not the feeling of pain that she felt when she walked through the portal where she obtained a corruption point due to her mutation void infection. The Darkstones are a feeling of calmness overcoming her body, the feeling of what is meant to be, her calling, creating a path for her future, her destiny. So with that, Shauna is going to take 6 corruption points. And then because she has reached 5 corruption points, Shauna is going to mutate and then have 1 corruption point left over. So here's that 1 corruption point that is left over, and I'll go ahead and put that on Shauna's hero character sheet. And here are those 5 corruption points for Shauna's mutation. So let's go ahead and roll that red and white die to see what kind of mutation Shauna receives. Remember, the red being the tens place and the white being the ones place. Alright, 31s. Let's see what she's got. In the middle on the right, she's got a barbed tail. +1 combat. You can now hold 1 fewer corruption point before you get a mutation. Excellent. So after the Darkstone corruption courses through Shauna's body and produces another mutation, Shauna feels over her body and locates her new mutation, Barbed Tail. And just like her horns, she caresses it lovingly and accepts it. Shauna then looks over at Yvette and says, "I still look good." Well, alright. Shauna still seems to be going strong even though she has 4 mutations. Void infection, eye grown over, horns, and now barbed tail. So that will end Shauna's ordeal with all of those Darkstone. And next up we have our U.S. Marshal, Sam. And this is also looking like a mess as Sam has 3 Darkstone, 4 Darkstone items. The first one is on her shotgun, a Rune of Darkness. The other 3 are on her hunting rifle, a Rune of Shadows, a Rune of the Void, and a Darkstone barrel. And then she also has 3 corruption points. And Sam's situation isn't looking any better than Shauna's, so let's go ahead and see what happens to Sam. So we're going to roll 7d6 to see how many 1, 2, or 3 show up to convert those Darkstone and Darkstone items into corruption hits. Okay, so we have 2 of those 1, 2, or 3s that showed up. So Sam now has 2 corruption hits. And now Sam is going to perform a willpower save of 4+ to see if those corruption hits don't turn into corruption points. Okay, so Sam fails 1 and saves against 1. So 1 corruption hit is going to turn into 1 corruption point. And now Sam has a total of 4 corruption points. Phew, so close there, Sam, so close. So I'll go ahead and put these on Sam's hero character sheet. So that will end Sam's encounter with those Darkstone and Darkstone items. And finally we have our bandita, Angela. Well, this is going to be an easy one as Angela has 0 Darkstone, 0 Darkstone items, and 0 corruption points. Yep, looking pretty easy. Well, pretty much saw this information coming since Angela has that mutation, Darkstone Allergy, which would give her 1 hit for every Darkstone shard and Darkstone item that she's carrying every turn. So it's no wonder why she doesn't have any Darkstone shards and Darkstone items on her. This way she's not going to take any chances to cause herself any kind of unnecessary wounds. So with no Darkstone shards and Darkstone items to deal with, that's going to end Angela's dealing with nothing. Now with all of the rolling for Darkstone corruption and any other elements completed, and before our heroes ready themselves and begin slowly walking back towards the mine entrance, Angela carefully helps Sam to her feet, being careful of Sam's mangled hand and slashed leg. Then once everyone readies themselves and arranges to go, our heroes begin slowly walking as Yvette inquires to Sam about the glowing blue portal in her chest. Sam states that while finishing her 1-year probationary period as a U.S. Marshal with her U.S. Marshal mentor Frank Coop, she was on a bounty hunting mission to the swamps of Dragano. There they were led by 2 Dragano natives who acted as escorts through the swamps to locate and apprehend 2 dangerous wanted fugitives. Sam then states that while holding on to too many Darkstone, she ended up mutating with a chest portal. Okay, so finally our heroes made it back to the mine entrance, and at this point, all of our heroes are going to be reset to full health, full sanity, and 1 grit. And next, we have the Traveling to Town subsection, preparing to travel. So with our 2-day travel back to the town Morganville, each hero is going to roll a d6, and any hero that rolls a 1 or a 2 is going to add a travel hazard to the travel back to town. So let's go ahead and start off with our gunslinger, Yvette. Okay, so Yvette rolls a 1, so she'll add a travel hazard. Then next is the saloon girl, Shauna. Alright, so Shauna rolls a 3, so she won't add a travel hazard. And next is the U.S. Marshal, Sam. So Sam rolls a 2, so she'll add a travel hazard. And finally is the bandita, Angela. Okay, so Angela rolls a 4, so she won't add a travel hazard. Okay, so our gunslinger and our U.S. Marshal have rolled a 1 and a 2, So there will be 2 travel hazards for our heroes to deal with. And next we have the Traveling to Town subsection, rolling for travel hazards. You can find the information for the travel hazards in the City of the Ancients adventure book on pages 56 and 57 on the travel hazard chart. Now at the moment is when we would roll for both of those travel hazards, but instead we're going to go ahead and roll for them during each day's travel back to town. So on the first day back, the gunslinger is going to roll for a travel hazard, and then on the second day back, the U.S. Marshal is going to roll for a travel hazard. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our heroes back to town. Before our heroes are ready to make their way back to town, the heroes gather around Shauna, who takes out the map and explains the landmarks again, this time in a reverse order, to get them back to town. Our heroes then nudge their horses and make their way north, passing the mixture of steep and rolling hills and then through the huge cropping of boulders. After turning east and crossing over the shallow stream, our heroes then turn south to pass the large grove of trees, which one of them was struck by lightning. As our heroes continue to travel south, about mid-afternoon on the first day they stop for a rest. And this is where we're going to go ahead and activate our gunslinger Yvette's travel hazard. So let's go ahead and roll 3d6 to see which travel hazard she gets. Okay, so Yvette got an 8. So let's consult the travel hazard chart to see what travel hazard Yvette got. Okay, so number 8 is Snake Oil Salesman. You meet a traveling salesman on the road who excitedly opens up the side of his cart and shows you his wares. He spins a good yarn about the medicinal quality of his tonics. Each hero must make a Cunning 5+ test. If passed, you recognize a scam when you see one and pass on the deal. If failed, you eagerly buy some of the elixirs, only to discover that they are little more than flavored water and pungent herbs as the dust cloud from the salesman's cart disappears in the distance. Lose D6 times $25 and roll a D6. On the roll of 6, one of the elixirs is actually worthwhile. Gain a tonic token. Alright. So first up is going to be our gunslinger Yvette. She has a cunning of 3. So let's see if she gets a 5+. 1, 4, and a 6. So she makes it, so she's not swindled by that snake oil salesman. Next up we have Shauna, and Shauna's got a cunning of 4. Alright, 3, 4, 5, and 6, so she makes it. And then she also has that looking glass where when she passes a cunning test, she's going to go ahead and get a grit. Alright, next up is our U.S. Marshal Sam, and she's got a cunning of 5. 1, 3, 3, 4, and 6. So she makes it. And finally our Bandita Angela. She's got a cunning of 1. So let's see what she does. Oh, she just makes it. Alright, so it looks like all 4 of our heroes are not swindled by that snake oil salesman. So let's go ahead and continue on to town. With our heroes continuing south, dusk begins to settle. Once out of sight, several unseen creatures stir about the land, now in Technicolor. Now that night has fallen, and with the arrival of the town tomorrow, and after our heroes stop for the night to camp, one by one, they fall asleep. Morning has risen, and after readying themselves a good breakfast, our heroes continue southward towards the town. As our heroes continue to travel south, about mid-afternoon on the second day, once again, our heroes stop for a rest. And this is where we're going to activate our U.S. Marshal Sam's travel hazard. So let's go ahead and roll that 3d6 to see which travel hazard she gets. Okay, so Sam got a 6. So let's consult the travel hazard chart to see what travel hazard Sam got. So the number 6 is Flash Flood. As you travel through the canyons, the skies open up with rain, causing a flash flood directly in your path. Each hero must make a Luck 4+ test to avoid being swept away by the rushing waters. If failed, roll a d6 for each token in your side bag. On the roll of 1, 2, or 3, it is swept away in the torrent of water. Alright, our gunslinger Yvette, she has a luck of 4. So let's see if she gets it. Alright, 1, 2, 3, and a 6. And next is our saloon girl Shauna. Shauna has a luck of 3. 1, 4, and 6. Alright, way to go, Shauna. And next is our U.S. Marshal Sam. And she has a luck of 3. 1, 2, and a 4. Alright, way to go, Sam. And finally our Bandita Angela. She has a luck of 3. 2, 3, and a 4. So let's go ahead and get our heroes moving to get back to town. Now that the sun is beginning to drop below the horizon, our heroes crest the final hill and see the town Morganville in the near distance. Then the final subsection in the Traveling to Town section is the Completing Your Travels subsection, which pretty much says, that is it. Our heroes have reached their destination, the town that they just came from, which is Morganville. So we're going to go ahead and end the video now. So go ahead and join us next time to find out how many buildings were destroyed by the escaping darkness, and if Shauna's freedom can be finalized, as we continue and enter into the frontier town, Morganville.